Govindra Janjurani, Salka Abidali, Dilip Sadesai and Vishwanath. They make West Indies bowlers look like second-raters when those fellows came out here to bat. West Indies tried holder and keep voice. They had no other choice. They even tried with Newton Dow, but a shot at the sorry they bring him now. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. Little Desmond Lewis, also Charlie Davis, they take a little shame from out we face. But Sobers as a captain, he won plenty coaching before we cricket end up in a disgrace. Beatty here that he became a father, he catch out Holford in the cover. But when Sobers here, he too had a son. He made duck and went back in the pavilion. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all.
Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You have the Empires on again this afternoon. I'm holding down the ship until the other Empires arrive. We have Matheson still on assignment of state. Second hour, we'll have an additional umpire, a new face, helping us to evaluate and analyze the pitch, the batting, the bowling, weather condition, and so. I'd like to start with saying good afternoon to the management staff of this Street 91.9 FM, the listening public in Trinidad and Tobago and the wider international community. This evening we give thanks. We give thanks to the Creator, the energies, for having us on this earth above ground, as my colleague just say, to share, to communicate, to collaborate, to love, to understand, care for each other. We give the Creator the energies. Thanks for that. This evening we'll be opening the game, looking at where we closed off the inning last time on this pension issue. Definitely we'll be looking at that with a level of scrutiny. We had solicit some external opinion to form our decision from the pavilion. And the pavilion had their say, to a large extent. They had their say, and they were in favor of having this pension revoked. We had to determine to a large extent if the decision is predicated upon emotion, predicated upon hard facts, predicated upon that which is decent, ethical, and moral, as we say. So it might be legal or illegal, but the question of ethics, morality comes into play. Or could it be what we call opportunistic by nature? So we could define it. But the pavilion was saying last time that, look, that wasn't kosher. The way the man came in and but I want to throw it out on the table and ask some fundamental thing to the pavilion, you know. Before they open the baton and we comment, I like to say pleasant good afternoon to fellow Empire Rolex. Floor is yours.
Good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon, Trinidad and Tobago. And indeed, one of the hot topics on the street. This is Street 91.9 FM. We on the street, we on the ground. We fly with the birds, but we keep grounded. So, one of the hot topics on the street is the issue of the pension.
Yeah.
And today it should be debated in the Senate.
Yeah.
I am told. And that is where the
Separate
conundrum...
the sheep from the goat.
Yes, that's where it exists. And long before we even go into the calls, I want to remind our callers and our listeners that when you call in, let's discuss the topic.
Stay on topic.
Stay on topic, okay. And don't respond on somebody else's response. You know, we don't want that back and forth with the personalities, because the personality is not important. You know, we watching cricket long time. We see teams come in, we see batsmen change, bowlers change, but a team has a particular ethic, philosophy, style of play, good, which will see them through or cause them to lose. So we want to remind our callers and our listeners, when you call in, share your opinion on the issue and not particularly someone who had another opinion, because all opinions are welcome on the street. So as we get back on course, this issue of the pension will be with us for a long while, even after the vote is taken, no matter how the vote goes. What was interesting in was, Mr. Mitchell, the vote in the House.
Yeah.
Funny enough, the gentleman in question, the batsman in question, absented himself. So...
he recused himself.
Well, I don't know if that's recusal, because...
No, you have to understand that batsman, that bowler.
That bowler,
have a history of, when things are being discussed about him, like to be absent, is a behavior pattern. As a HR specialist, you look at behavior pattern.
All right.
So probably he's just being consistent.
That's true. But he also, for me, he missed the opportunity to be heard. Again, on Hansard, although he is the subject of the discussion, more or less. Mm-hmm. But then again, no, you know. And that's another thing we need to discuss. Is this really about him, or is this about the office? And he held the office, so he falls under it. You know, he is de facto.
So he's looking at this as him and not the chair, and not the office, but is it ad hominem?
He says he is targeted.
Ah.
But that is to take it quite personal. That, you know, we sat down and contrive all of this to target you. I don't know.
I think the parliament is a more useful place. It has more important things.
Yeah, I don't know what our 12th man will say about that. Is it target? But the more and more I listen to the debate and I listen to the discussion, somehow, this seems to be well planned. I thought the gentleman was a fortuitous beneficiary of a move that, you know, happened in the course of politics. Things happened, and it was something, as we say, novel and never was envisioned before. But I am looking at the behavior. It looks like almost that, you know, somebody trying to spoil my plan. We had a plan, and this interrupts the plan, and this was not the plan. So I'm having second thoughts about this just being, you know, we say it was never envisaged since 1962. Some people look like they sit down and they study this, you know. They study it.
No, I have my take on it, yeah.
You believe it was coincidental? Guess accidentally?
I feel really and truly it was coincidental, okay, in the sense that I might be wrong, but it's just an opinion I'm forming.
Yeah.
this law was always there.
Right.
That you become prime minister and you get a pension. What put the prime minister's pension in the spotlight was the size, the value, the quantum. Because the prime minister was on 50,000 the other day and nobody bothered with it, you know. It became when the Salaries Review Commission did this, whatever they do, and it reached $87,000 a month with what have you and whatever. It was so much you working for, and then scrutiny. And I go back to when we had 1818. Nobody never take 36, and we're going down to it for years. And one day we end up with 1818 and we say, huh? So it's when it happened, we just try to pay doctor and lawyer and try and fix it. It was the only time. Had it been the pension was 50, we might have said, you get 50, no problem, go down the road. But that salary was contentious from day one. Yeah? And then it happened now that the batsman at the time ended up being in the seat, yeah, and he called an election. Now, we had to further analyze. Was the election called because, A, I get the $87,000 pension, I could resign now and get it for life? Was it called because of that? Now, if you cannot prove that mischief took place, then it's justified that the person get it, you know. Because we have the premise that he got it, and 1 month after he called election because he sees himself receiving this $87,000 for the rest of his life. We have the premise and saying that was the mischief that was orchestrated. And but it could be delved deeper. That was the mischief. The cause, let me tell you something. The cause of the early election can be construed this way. Work with me here now, work with me. It could be construed this way. When Manning called the last early election, was of a belief that a no confidence motion was going to be called on him, and some of his team members, his batsmen at the time, would have voted with the bowlers. They would have kicked down his stump too. And his opinion was, the people put me here, let the people remove me. And no opposition will remove me. The people will. Now, I say that to frame a picture in which we will build on. Now, remember we had a 9/11 sort of conundrum across the road. So which means there was a clear divide in, half of them in my corner, you know. And it was open season for the opposition now to call a no confidence, knowing there's rumbling in the batting side.
Dressing room.
In the dressing
Bacchanal,
room.
yeah.
Some may have pad, some pad is a paper, some bat make out a coconut branch and all kind of thing.
Right.
And the opposition was poised to place a no confidence motion in the parliament for debate. The strangest of that is, with them 9, any of them 9 hit me undercut, boy, kick down my stump. So he had was to weigh this decision. Here we're going on. If I have to continue, I have to try and repair all the damage that was done. If you didn't hear what I say when you close the fridge, we're not closing on Petrotrin. No! All of that he had to live with until October, you know. So he asked himself, could I repair all this damage? All this 7% online tax and all of these things. We had to make the rich richer to help the poor. He asked himself, could I repair all of that damage to my supporters in 5 months' time? Or with me saying there 5 months' time, with half of them fellas with me not supporting me, I might end up worse off. You know what I'm saying? Half of them are supporting me. But I want to say 5 months and go down the road hoping I could repair some damage, knowing I don't have the full support, everybody. So he was to weigh something and say, here we're going on. Let me shut it down, get a clean mandate, and build my legacy. So I'm just sharing a picture there. So what I'm saying is now, probably that was the thinking and wasn't mischievous in terms of, hey, let me get it for a month, get the pension, then resign. I'm sure
Well, I agree with you,
I lay a pity there.
and I disagree with you. I agree with you that the mischief could not have been the benefit, in that there was no way of him knowing that they would have lost. So maybe in the mind's eye, he'd have been the captain for a while.
Our clean mandate.
And then it goes how it goes, okay? Because we went to the polls.
Yeah.
I don't know that he intentionally lost, or we can't impute those things, right?
He didn't intentionally
Right.
lost. He wanted a clear mandate from the people. Because remember, within the party, he didn't reach there by one man, one vote, as is this prescribed formula for leadership in the party.
All right, so let me...
But at least if he didn't get it, he said, well, let the population give me a mandate. I don't know.
So let me bring it to the other
Because
issue.
remember, the man wasn't inside there, so we're trying to go in his mind, right? And kind of pull out, right? Men's now. And see, well, where's the mischief
So
going?
let me pose the other issue to you. If you were elected, if you were given captaincy of a team, as part of the captaincy, right, you get a Mercedes Benz and $500,000. Okay? You won captaincy of the team. You were handed captaincy of the team unceremoniously. Good?
Right.
There were questions on how you became captain in the first place.
So you're not on shaky ground.
Due process wasn't followed.
You know if the loan was paid for that Benz again.
Good.
They
And
still owing on it?
within your team, you had a large number of dissenters.
See,
Okay?
they didn't pay all the money for that Benz again.
They don't agree
Yeah.
with your captaincy.
Yeah.
If your captaincy is under review, one, should you still hold on to the benefits? Two, the people who had an issue with you in your captaincy, how do they now come and defend your benefits when your benefits were accrued to your captaincy in the first place?
No. They didn't support the benefit, you know. They didn't vote against, you know, they just abstained. Now, if they'd vote against, was a clear thing that we support in the man.
So
I remember.
yeah, but that's
I remember.
that's just strategy.
No.
It has the same
I want to
result.
go back. I know, but up. When Manning, when the batting side now was in opposition, the
Right.
bowling side was in opposition.
Right.
I remember the late Patrick Manning moved a motion. Yeah? He moved a motion
Yeah.
in the parliament about the present captain's house of the batting side. Right? And when he finished, he moved the motion. Right?
Yes.
The vote in the house, the opposition, which was the government at the time, voted no. His team, you know how they voted? Abstain. Although they were his team members and he moved a motion. They didn't say yea or nay, they just abstain. Which means you're on your own, you know, birds.
Well,
That's the sign in parliament. They say, well, he on you. So when they really tell you, brothers, you see, you on that, you on your own, we have time with that. You know. They put up an argument. I know you can't put up an argument. You see, and that's the funniness we have to understand. You put up an argument, and when time they say yeah or nay, you abstain.
Well,
So the captain of the, and you ask that question, you know. You asked the question of the bowling team last time. Show me a petticoat. And your petticoat is showing. Because what you stand for? You stand up and defend the thing. It is wrong. The man should get, but when time to vote, you abstain. You're supposed to vote yea or nay. Vote nay if you against taking it away. Say that. But don't do your debate. Waste the people's time. People stay home from work. Watch this whole debate and then you abstain.
well, I interpret the abstaining and the yea in the same voice because it has the same effect. I am looking at effect.
Yeah.
I'm not really looking
Because
at words.
You didn't go against it.
You didn't
so
go
the yea
against
win.
it.
And you give the A all the opportunities to win.
Correct.
So we debate against it for?
But in principle.
You're a hypocrite then?
But
Are you a hypocrite? Are you saying the captain of the bowling team this evening, are we saying is a hypocrite bowling?
I would say stranger.
To the truth?
To consistent
Oh, Lord.
logic. That's what I would say. Consistent logic. Because if I had an issue with it all along, by how you even won, normally we just toss a coin. We just toss a coin to get the captaincy, right?
Yeah.
Well, we find out they didn't have no coin toss. We find out it had one of the seniors in the room say you had to be the captain. But what the senior do, the senior went around and lobby.
Yeah.
And talk to all the other, some of the players. Out of the 11 on the team, he get through to 6 people. Listen to me, we ain't tossing no coin today. To hell with that.
Yeah.
John is the man. All you know that. Trust me, I was all your captain. And I leave in and I say, John, I hereby knight John to be my replacement.
I want to pull back and go forward.
All right.
I want to pull back because I want to angle the car a little properly here.
All right.
Because we are seeing the pitch so good, we have to adjust the cameras here now.
All right.
Is it my opinion, and I hope my opinion is bent and skewed somewhat, that all of these team members must sign a document that goes to the president to put that person in the chair? The question is, did they sign the document? Did they have a gun to the head?
Well,
were they threatened? Their life threatened?
Duress is a...
is it, what was there a threat? Are you saying was a level of duress, harassment,
I was not present.
I will expose the file I have on you. It'll go to special branch.
What did we hear coming out of the locker room when the mic was on? What did we hear?
Dissent.
When it had internal voting a week ago, when everybody had a lot to say.
Cut down the center.
Those who didn't have a voice were very vociferous.
Yeah.
What did we learn? We heard allegations of bullying.
Yeah.
We heard all manner of great. We heard that. They had their process. And now we come to a related issue. It's the same principle we're following. It's the same consistent principle we're following. It's a related issue, however. How could you know in all principle, and this is where I'm confused, abstain or even vote yea?
No, yeah, but it's question the ethics, the moral stand that the bowling captain and the team is taking now. You must stand for something and be bold about it.
Who could vote yea? The people on the 11 who I was done with it in the first place.
Yeah.
Right or wrong, I was done with it. So on principle, I had to continue.
Yeah.
Good? Because I always knew that by him being selected captain, by whatever means, he would have been a beneficiary of this. I knew that. That wasn't hidden. So I voted for him to be captain.
I think you're giving wisdom too loosely, you know.
Why?
I think you pelting. You feel everybody was aware of that.
Oh, come on. You're lowering the bar. You are lowering the bar for our
why I'm
very
that.
calculated politicians.
No. Okay.
You think this is from shop talk?
But this was wait. I go back to 1818, so nobody didn't know there's a possibility of we getting 1818. And you know why? Nobody believed in this country, or in the Caribbean, I'm sure, that someone will get the prime ministership and in 1 month call an election. But let's go back. In 2.5 years, Manning was calling election. So early election is not a new thing, you know. He just set a new bar for early election.
I don't think it's not.
But you really feel, I doubt.
I don't think it's not no one in 1880.
I do not want to put the person in the chair at that level of unscrupulousness. I don't want to. I don't want to say the young man lacks scruples. I don't want to say it. I feel everybody overlooked it, and only when it jumped out, we say, oh good, and then we try to huddle and fix it. Because, let me tell you something, that law been there a long time. Stop. Anybody could have done that. Anybody could have done that.
I disagree with you.
Why? On what premise?
Because to do that,
Yeah.
you'd have had to give
what?
up captaincy.
Yeah, but he gave up captaincy.
And but nobody else before him was willing to do that.
But Manning did it twice.
He gave up captaincy and called elections. He didn't give up captaincy and let the government run.
Yes.
No.
Manning did it twice. He prorogued parliament, which means you give up captaincy and he called an election.
No, that is not
That is
giving
what
up
he did it 2.5 years.
Right? He
Right?
prorogued parliament.
He prorogued
caused
parliament and called an
parliament to
election.
cease and
Right.
elections were called.
Right.
Who other than Mr. Manning gave up captaincy while in office and gave it to somebody else?
Well, PNM have a history of doing that. So he's just consistent with the PNM history of calling early election. I feel deep down inside.
No.
It was
Remember
There's
the
just a
early
feeling.
election.
I don't know.
The
Okay,
early
you and
election.
I, not part of the team. Eh?
Listen to me. The
We
early
just sit
election
down out here
is
up in the
part
box.
B. You're looking at part B.
Yeah.
Look at part A.
So you really feel sitting down here in the pavilion in the box up here, right? According to a man on the batting side, we sit down in the pavilion eating shrimps. We eating with shrimps and sipping on some wine and so forth, watching and analyzing the match. You really feel deep down inside. I say that I segue a little bit. Can I segue a little bit?
Yes,
Allow.
yes. You may.
I remember someone describing Don King, the boxing promoter in the US. And he said, the question was asked of the guy, is Don King a good person? We think is Don King a good guy and so forth. He said, well, if you look at Don King, deep, you might find some good. See how deep he went? Are you saying that captain, we had to go so deep to find that which is good?
No, it's not a matter of good
Because
or bad.
you saying it's
Mr.
not
Mitchell.
ethical. If you're saying
Mr. Mitchell.
that I deliberately, realizing I could walk away, right, with all of this by calling the match. So you call the election to lose? He didn't call the election to lose.
No, it wasn't the loss that made him a beneficiary.
No.
He was a beneficiary from the time he became captain.
Right.
So win, loss or draw.
Right, but
he would have benefited.
So where's the problem then?
The problem is
We call an election because he wanted a clear mandate from the people, because we keep saying to him, you not a legitimate leader because you're not there. Nobody voted for you. Nobody voted for you. Nobody voted. You're illegitimate.
no.
Right? You're born out of wedlock. Go ahead.
Two things. You seem to be quite generous with the acumen of our politicians. We seem to be quite generous. I do not think this is blind man country. We feel it's blind man country. That's what they come to tell us. We did not. That is not all the time true. Secondly,
are you saying our politicians are politicians that will come by you and see you?
I posted something on the
ahead.
weekend.
Yeah.
This is what I posted
Facebook
on my WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Okay.
Yeah. The peril of the rule of law. The peril involved in the rule of law is that we are at the mercy of the lawmakers, the lawbreakers, and law enforcement. The rule of law is supreme.
Yeah.
Right? It is supreme for order in any society. But I want you to look at the other side of it. You see the people who make law or somehow didn't make a law, they hold us hostage. You see the people who know the law and just break the law all the time, they also hold us to ransom.
You see, I will take it first.
And you see the people who are charged with the enforcement of the law, meaning they can do it consistently, unjustly, fairly, they can do. You see, people who charge with that responsibility, those three groups of people can hold us to ransom. And I'm saying this: if you look at the sequence of events, I am divorcing the early election by the handover of the top captaincy. The two are not synonymous.
I am saying that I also believe that the early election was politics and strategy, and they would not have known the outcome because nobody goes into that to lose.
To lose,
right?
exactly, good.
But that did not matter because he would have been a beneficiary, win, loss, or draw.
Agreed.
Right?
Right.
I'm also saying that even if he won and found it unfair,
What unfair?
meaning in retrospect,
No, what unfair exactly?
he would have found that
What exactly?
the fact that he will be beneficiary of this
salary
unfair,
that the law prescribed that he get,
right,
that was there for years now.
good, until such time he'd have been in a grind, he'd have been in a bind, because he'd have been a sitting PM. Good. There's no reason to repeal it. You have to go against your party grain. You'd have been in a very, very awkward position. So he being able to solve the problem himself, for me, would have been very, very, very odd.
Solve what problem?
The issue of the pension. If he felt in his conscience that this, in hindsight, was not the right thing. I am the PM now. I am the person who will benefit. But my conscience tell me that we could put thresholds, we could do everything.
So we're not, okay. The last PM had no problem with it.
No.
So you're saying he should have a problem with it?
No, I'm saying even if he had a problem with it.
Previous, the Batten side now didn't have a problem with it either.
No.
The one before them didn't have a problem with it either.
No, remember your argument was it didn't happen, so it was never discussed. You can't say that.
What didn't happen?
It didn't happen that there was somebody with such short tenure who would have been a beneficiary. That was your argument.
Because the law allows for that. It allows for, if you sit down one day, the law allows for that. And the law was there for years, and everybody, every executive had an attorney general, you know.
Yes.
Had a legal affairs and all kind of thing. Legal affairs started off with the Batten side now. With the captain, she started legal affairs. But nonetheless,
Yes.
it was the early time, so nobody never looked at the law and see if the law is if it's operational and how we would benefit the pros and the cons.
I agree with that.
So everybody was tardy, and let us not blame somebody else because we were tardy, because we had the opportunity to fix it. We had the opportunity to fix it. We didn't fix it. The one before didn't fix it. Nobody have fixed it. He come and he benefit from it. Everybody vexed. But you had a chance to fix it when he was there.
But fix what? There was no it to fix.
Yes, the lacuna that said if a man sit in the chair for one day, he could get the pension for the rest of his life. Forget the figure.
No. We forget any figure.
The process of the application of the pension, whether 1 day, 2 day,
Or
5 years,
5 days,
was
or 5
always
weeks.
there.
Was always there.
And nobody never say, but how that making sense? If a man sit down 1 day, he could get it. No, we should fix that. So when Prime Minister swearing in and we're looking at term, this is not the first time salary review, the salary review commission
has made a recommendation.
And nobody never looked at the whole process of the law as it applies to these increase in salaries. And the outcome, the pros and the cons, nobody never looked at it. So if nobody never looked at it, why we like to be doctors and lawyers after the fact?
Yeah, but remember.
If it happened now, let me tell you something. I'm of one that said, look, everybody was tardy as far as I'm concerned relative to having bad law on the books. If we're saying that, and we're frowning on it, then we say it's bad law. Fix bad law and move forward. But don't blame nobody for using the bad law to their benefit.
No, it's not a matter of blame. That's the argument of it being ad hominem. Remember, at the end of the day,
now, the question is,
somebody will be punished.
No, nobody shouldn't have to be punished. It's to fix the law and go forward.
But once we fix the law, if you're on the other side of the law, it will apply to you.
Exactly, but the thing about you're backdated because and we realize we make them and you're backdated, and well, if we change property tax and we say no property tax payment retroactive, if property tax is bad law and we cancel property tax now, all who pay in the past, give them back their money?
You see,
no, we have to be consistent with our behavior.
No, but the issue is, right? The issue is that if something was wrong.
Who said wrong?
If something was wrong, right? And I'll get to that, right? Let me ask you. If something was wrong, then forward or backward, I don't think it makes a difference, right?
Good.
Let's
if it's wrong. If
let's
it's
correct
If it's
right?
bad law.
Let's correct it.
Yeah.
Remember, you have
So
to
should we go back and say, like, as they give the percentage share, the last one Patrick Manning did, what, 33 and a third, 2.5 years, so he should only get 50% of the pension then? Are we saying
No.
that if we're going retroactive?
No, but here's what. Here's what. We have to take the whole argument,
Yeah.
right? And the whole argument is the issue with the Salary Review Commission is in context of what was going on in the society.
Yes, sir. So does the Salary Review Commission, I don't know, we're asking here,
Yes.
review the whole contractual arrangement, the application and implementation of these salaries? Do they look at it?
No.
As about you can't just give them 20% and know how it is applied. You must say how it is applied. It's terms
No.
and condition of work.
No, they don't.
They just say 20%, give
It's a
20%.
science. It's a science.
No.
By whatever metrics they come up with,
And they
with their
look,
figure.
and they don't look at the
and
terms
they
and
make,
conditions. So
they-
nobody, are you saying in terms of the Prime Minister, the people in the Senate and the Parliament and judges, nobody look at the terms and conditions of work? Yes, they do, because they will recommend who shouldn't pay VAT and take away no tax from this one. And so they look at the terms and conditions of work. It is reviewed.
No, that's not my argument. That's not my argument.
No, I'm saying Salary Review Commission would have known that if the man sit down 2 days and he's Prime Minister, he could get this for the rest of his life.
No, but that's not their purview. That's not their purview. Their purview is not the time
No,
frame.
I'm saying nobody had a problem with it until a man benefit from it.
No. Yeah, you're missing the point, Mr. Umpire Mitchell. Umpire Mitchell, you're missing the point. Remember, the quantum of increase was an issue in context. It cannot be that the people in question do not deserve whatever was recommended.
No, nobody's questioning that. Nobody's
Good.
questioning that.
So then there's a much deeper question to answer.
Yeah,
The much deeper discussion is this.
yeah.
While Rome is burning, while everybody else is feeling pain, is this justified? Now, there is two different questions I'm asking you here. I'm asking you if it's justified generally, or I'm asking you if it's justified given what is happening. And the public outcry, the public hue and outcry concerning what they said then, and you would look at all the articles and the responses by the union movements, the economists, and other people. It's not that whether they themselves as humans or as officials or government officials were worthy of it. Nobody could question and say the gentleman not worthy of it. So put it in context. At this given time, in this economic situation, given the principle exposed by the government of sacrifice, of hardship, of we know what you deserve. Hear the same argument to the public servants. We know what you deserve, but now is not the time.
You see, I wouldn't want to go. That's just rhetoric, because if that was the case and the economy is so hard, I cannot see the percentage of increase in income be what it is.
Well, they said, it only applied to a smaller group of people. That was the argument.
A smaller group.
Yes. So what you would have had to pay public servants on a big, large scale. But I agree with you. I agree with you totally.
If it's hard, and everybody shares the burden of hardship of an economy.
So I'm saying when we look at it from that angle.
Looking at the batsmen in the wicket now, them saying, it's really hard, It was perceived to be hard the way them fellas allocated the money. It hard. We bad spend and we bad budget.
Yeah.
Because they tell some people in the pavilion are giving you 10.
Right.
But you can't say it hard and offer me 10 if it hard.
Right.
You have to say, hey, it's so hard, 0, 0, 0.
Right.
But for you 10.
Yes.
So what the batsmen and they say now, hey, it is perceived to be hard the way them former batsmen were batting and how they allocate, misuse, abuse, and so forth. The wicket,
Yeah.
when it was in the field,
Yeah.
they dig hole in the pitch, hide the ball under the dirt and put grass on it and thing.
Yeah.
But they say, no, it's not so hard, We will then realign. We'll put proper rollers on the pitch, draw proper lines on the pitch and so forth, and everybody will win. Everybody will enjoy the match and so forth. So the debate is, if it really hard, it's still out, That debate, that jury on if it really hard is still out, because the numbers I'm hearing in terms of where it went by the last set of batsmen. We had all of that. It's so much we have. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, that's a whole different paradigm.
Exactly.
Because somehow we were the only one believing that it didn't have.
And look what the batsman showing me. It's a real hard thing.
And it's in that context I say to you that much of this had to be calculated, sir.
No.
Because
I stand
because
corrected.
these things would have been known from the inside.
I want to stand corrected.
Okay.
We are puzzled now by these batsmen showing me where the money gone.
Right.
Good. But there was a bold statement. We had to make the rich richer to help the poor. So when we see where the money gone, why are we amazed? It was a clearly defined statement. We have to what? Make the rich richer. So when we come now, when these batsmen come in and see where the money went, it was consistent with a statement.
Yeah.
It wasn't for poor people.
Yeah.
So you see how we get twist words and position it and so forth? It was clearly, we have to make who richer?
Rich.
And where the money went to? The rich. Isn't that consistent with the statement made? Yes or no? So when the poor didn't get, why the poor is making noise? The statement was never, you have to wait until the rich ready to give you if you're poor.
Easy example. Easy example.
Talk to me.
I was just idling around the pavilion and I found a bag with $20,000, $200,000. There was no owner. Nobody claimed it.
All right.
I waited a couple days. I didn't hear nothing. It's mine.
Yes. Yes.
There was an investigation subsequent. Right? And the rule is now anybody finding money in the pavilion, the rule didn't exist before.
Right.
You must give it in.
Yeah.
Your argument is that come after I had it.
But I don't spend it already. Where get it back from?
Your argument
I don't commit it.
Your argument
It
is
had no rule.
before you said that
I committed.
I had it.
And I committed it. I committed it to something.
And
I bought, you see that? The fact that I had that, I went and took out a yacht. I went and commit this thing
See.
because this is guaranteed by law. Wait, this is guaranteed by law to me.
See.
Stop. And I went and ordered a yacht. I took money, and this money now is committed to pay the installment for that yacht. This money was given to me and prescribed by the law. Now, what are you telling me now? Give up a yacht? I went and pay for a yacht. As I get the thing, I went and ordered a yacht because I had the money to pay for a yacht, and they gave me $20 million, and I made installment for the yacht. I don't know. But what I'm saying, the question we had to ask ourselves, why before we bring in some callers, I know you want to bring in some people. Yeah, people done humming already. Is that, could this thing go to a high court in terms of the questioning of what we call bad law?
Well,
You understand what I'm
it
saying?
was always said that if the motion went the other way and the gentleman was denied, he could always test his constitutional right.
Constitutional right. Because it could be considered bad law.
And Parliament is supreme, and they can make law. We would have had to see how it was applied.
Section 36 was questioning, you know.
Yeah, I don't ascribe any or impute any motive to the gentleman. I mean, we've just been having an academic
we had
debate.
to put it out, and we had to put it from all angles
Yes.
because now you're seeing it through a different screen now.
Yeah.
You're in the pavilion, but a man could be passing with a straw hat and you
Because
see
sometimes
clearly.
when you play in the match
You do see all wrong here.
with a fine bat,
Yeah.
the ball edge and went to the boundary for 4.
Yeah.
One argument is that was a brilliant shot, marvelous,
Yeah.
superfluous hand-eye coordination, a glorious stroke, synergy.
Yeah.
You know what the other half of the pavilion say?
Yeah.
He don't know how the hell he do that.
He whoop.
He whooped that. He go to head it over cover, and it just passed so. And you understand analysis.
You are correct, because there are two debates in
You
Parliament.
understand the
One
analysis.
for and one against.
You understand the analysis, and that is why the third umpire is important. because some things you will review and judge with intention on the review. But on the field of play, it looked like a Sachin Tendulkar. Good. And the pavilion is saying, he's number 11 batsman. He's a night watchman. He ain't no Sachin Tendulkar. Please don't fool us. It was a good shot, but don't put him up with Sachin Tendulkar. The ball hit the bat, not he hit the ball. You understand? That's a different argument. So when you review circumstances and you look at things in a different way, you look at things through a different lens, sometimes it causes you to analyze the circumstances and the flow of events in a different way. Could this really be lack of foresight? Because if you study, remember I tell you we are at the peril of lawmakers, right? And there's a theory that says that's how big business and other people get away with their legal, very legal advantage. It is knowing the law and knowing where all the holes. So you thinking them just do that by the way. That is not always the case. That's not always the case. It could not have been planned to a T.
But it have two sides, you know. So if you are minding your business, it have two sides. If you're not minding your business, don't blame the next side they outsmart you or hoodwink you. You are to mind your business too. And the same law that
Correct. I agree with that.
You privy to that too.
We agree with that.
Everybody.
But remember, the law applied.
I remember Trump, the American president, talking about that, you know, when they say, oh, you ain't pay your taxes and you get away from taxes and you said that and you pay no tax and all kind of things.
Remember the law applied.
You know what Trump said? He said, well, the same law. He said the same law you all use and all your financiers used to get away from paying tax. The same law I use, the law is there for everyone to use.
Said that.
He said
that. I used it.
I used it. The law is there for everyone to use.
And I hope you pick up from his speech that it was quite deliberate. Huh?
Yeah, because
he didn't stumble upon it.
He said the law is there for me to use. So use the law. If you know the law. I want to pause for a cause and say welcome to a third empire that will be gracing us this afternoon. I'll leave the third empire to give a overview of themselves.
Let's should introduce herself after.
Yeah. Give an overview of themselves.
To contribute.
And
she's lighting up the room. She's lighting up the room. The room feels light already.
Yes.
You know, we always need.
Now, you know, when we eat with food, we have to wipe our mouth.
Yes, we do.
We have to
be very careful of our gender references. Yes. We have to be very balanced.
Yes.
Or we could end up in some hot water.
Is it because balance is being created with the umpires because we have two female captains?
Well, that's an interesting debate because we do have two female captains.
So we bring a female umpire in the thing.
Yes, we on the Street 91.
Total balance.
Wanted to balance it off because we men see things a particular way.
Yes.
We see things a particular way, and you can't fault us for that.
Yeah.
You understand? But we really need to add balance to the streets. And the streets is made up of men and women. Huh?
Yeah.
Men and women on the streets. But when we review this whole tape about what has happened, you know, it is interesting to wonder if people brighter than you and I, who spend time looking at the law and where the holes are, didn't see the hole in the fence.
The lacuna.
But that's how we will test it. We will only test it by doing it. And the only way to test it, Mr. Mitchell, is for me to resign. Mr. Manning wasn't going to hand anybody it. You have to face the election and win.
Yeah.
Nobody else before him.
Yeah.
But friends.
You know, we do. Hey, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Umpire Matteson come in while the air is rare. The mic phone one. Gentlemen. Umpire Matteson.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Selvon, listening to your discourse, And you know, I'm calling from San Diego here, and I'm listening to your discourse, and I want to disagree with you.
Umpire. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now I'm here.
We're going for a break
So
in
right
about
after.
a few
Right
seconds.
after,
So
yes.
call back. I'll be looking out for your call to
Start us
elucidate
off.
on the conversation. Yes?
No problem.
All right, excellent. Good. Yeah. So umpire Matterson have his view and so forth, and that's how the mix we like.
Yes, yes,
And
yes.
so forth. Because you know why you have three umpire?
Yes.
For balance.
Balance.
Because everybody have an opinion and a view.
Yes.
And then we stretch all out and we mix it up and we end up with one color.
Yes.
Yeah?
So we have a two female captains
Yeah.
and a female umpire.
Yeah.
So this should be interesting.
So we go for the break. I'll be back in 2 shakes, ladies and gentlemen.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
This summer, give your child skills of a lifetime with several boot camp. Children between the ages of 5 to 17 come enjoy Children Iron Chef competition. Your child will learn to prepare healthy breakfast, lunch, dinner, CPR, first aid, and conflict management. With field trip, your child will be given free apron and certification upon completion. Call 492-7397 or 336-4935. Institute of Health and Fitness Company Limited, located at number 79 St. Vincent Street, Tunapuna.
For the month of June, registration will only be $50 to book your space, and you can pay the tuition fee before the start of camp.
TNT, get ready, get hungry, and get to the hut because it's lunchtime! From pizzas to pastas, breadsticks to cinnamon rolls, Pizza Hut's all-you-can-eat lunch buffet is all yours for only $55. Sundays to Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. and extended to 4 p.m. on Sundays. Check socials for info on selected locations nationwide and take your hunger to the hut. Pizza Hut, now that's delivering.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Here my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
Ikaro, I am Alatumishe Ifaba Mishe Aganki, better known as MCDU.
And every Monday between the hours of 9 p.m. to midnight,
I host a show called Orisha, The Way of Life, right here on the Sheet 919 FM, where I have guests passing through from the Orisha Ifa Baptist Diaspora to educate, edify, and inform you, the listening public, about Orisha Ifa practices. So remember to tune in
every Monday between the hours of 9 p.m. to midnight
for Orisha, The Way of Life.
We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. Play way fast cash, that is the fit. We rollin' big. Fast cash and play way take win. No extra spend, there's vibes and luck. Play way and fast cash turn up. We rollin', yes we rollin' big. Fast cash and play way take win. Mega mix or monster pick. Jackpot from 10,000 quick.
Jackpot starting at $10,000 have now been added to NLCB's Playway and Fast Cash games. Wager on Playway Mega Mix or Fast Cash Monster Draw for a chance to win the jackpot after every draw. Don't miss out. Visit NLCBgames.com for details. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM every Friday from 9:15 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. with Kingdom Health Services, situated at number 125 to 186 Eastern Main Road in Tunapuna. For the program, Health and Healing, merging the old with the new, with Mr. Brent Diet. For more information, call 318-7471 or 484-0141 or 360-4100. It's all about Kingdom Health Services on the street, 919 FM.
Join the winning team with Pastor Alkaline John
every Tuesday from 11:05 a.m. to 12 noon and every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m.
live on the street 919 FM as he talks about Lviv, the power of 5 fruits, one of the most powerful antioxidant supplements on the market today. The 5 superfruits in Lviv are mangosteen, acai, pomegranate, goji, and nuni. These fruits have a positive and profound impact on human health performance and disease. Join him as he gives live testimonials of the Lviv healing powers. To get more information, you can contact Pastor Alkaline John at 516-286-7079 or you can visit his webpage at www.alkalinejohn.com. Remember,
every Tuesday from 11:05 a.m. to 12 noon and every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m.
live on the street 919 FM.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
We are back. We are back. We are back. And we start off with introducing our female umpire this afternoon. I give you the mic, my lady.
Good afternoon to every one of you. Good afternoon to my umpires here. My name is Samoya, and I'm joining in this evening.
Excellent. Now, Samoya, I know Samoya have a HR background, a practitioner of the craft, of human resource management and so forth. She's well poised to discuss the behavior.
More so, where we're going next with this conversation.
Excellent.
Because we need to discuss the plight of the CPAP workers. And whatever has or hasn't transpired and all the implications thereof. We're going to totally ventilate that issue soon. But we await the call of
one of the third empires.
The other third empire.
Yeah.
And as we were saying before the break, that sometimes we tend to believe we are watching it. And we feel it's luck, chance, mistake. But do not underestimate the very calculated efforts of people who understand a system. And where all the holes are. You may look at, and I'm going to tell you, but we never envisaged this before. That's because I got caught.
I didn't realize he's standing up there and he catch me.
I didn't realize. I didn't hear when they announced that anybody finding money to bring it in. I really asked and nobody claim it.
Are you saying ignorance is no excuse now?
It's no excuse.
So it's no excuse.
The law has far reach. I was watching on you'll tell me when Umpire Matterson calls. I was watching on the BBC News on my way here, where a 92-year-old gentleman was convicted of rape. Of a rape how long ago? Almost 40 years ago. The DNA evidence was found. Now. And he's awaiting sentencing, sir. They didn't say give Pops a blight. They didn't say okay, give him,
no, but the law allows for that.
You see how you see the reach of the law. The reach of the law. So again, it's not about.
So then they didn't have to change no law to prosecute.
No.
Or treat with it.
No.
But in this case, they had to change the law
because it never existed.
No, the law existed.
No, in its form, its present form. The thing about tiers and tenure and all that didn't exist
we
before.
now look at it and we realize now we don't like how it's being applied.
Exactly. And there was no test and cause for application because nobody had a 5-week term in office. That's the only context, You can't judge it against somebody who had 10 years or 5 years. I can't remember off my head what was the tenure of our former prime ministers. But nobody had 5 weeks. So there was no test for the application of the whole Prime Minister's pension. We take it for granted. So I think the context is what brings the novelty to it for us. But for the planners and for the lawmakers, for the people who know where the breaches are and the holes and what you may or may not get away with, I don't know. And I'm just looking at the behavior post the discussion. Do we have Umpire Matheson? Yes?
Not as yet.
But that on Friday was coupled with the news of the CPEP workers. The CPEP workers, the CPEP contractors, sorry, let me be very careful, their contracts were terminated. And that situation became immediately political. There were all sorts of postings on social media.
Yes, I saw something today. Yeah.
Good. People gave promises and pledges to intervene or to try and represent, you know. And let me say first, and Miss Umpire here can comment to that. Losing one's job, no matter what, is not a nice thing.
Yes, straight in her wheelhouse.
Of course. So, what is interesting with this, I was discussing this with someone today. The way this article is written, it gives the impression as though these people had contracts with the ministry.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you have a contract, I think as Matheson calls it, contract of employment, so you are engaged on a certain amount of time and they break your contract, that is one thing. But if your arrangement is through a contractor, my question is, what does that have to do with the ministry? The contractor was terminated. If the contractor is terminated, then that's a separate thing because he brought in those people.
You create some excitement there.
So that's what I'm saying.
Will you say that again? Register that with me one more time.
So
the workers who were terminated by the
contractor.
If the contractor was terminated and the contractor would have brought on those people, they are his staff. They are not ministry staff. So that's what I'm understanding this to be. The big headlines is saying here, 100 fired CPEP contractors. So if you are contracted for service, that's a difference. That's what I'm, so sometimes these headlines could give things an impression that is not there. So you need to find out the source where this is concerned. If it's a mass firing, that's a difference. But this here, they are under the employ of a contractor. That contractor is not an employee of the organization. They were brought on to provide a service. So it's like, we have an event, you have a caterer, the caterer has workers serving the food. If you cancel the event, there's no need for the servers anymore. Yeah. Does the server get to complain about the company? That's my understanding of this. So this is why, you would need to know the details of that before you put such a broad,
So we say the article is a mischievous article then? Are we saying that? Because it doesn't speak to, or it's not factual.
Well, to be fair to them, it's hard to explain that in a headline, right? And remember, you want to sell the article and everything. So we understand that it was deliberately written that way, but there are a lot more details to that relationship that we don't know.
Interesting. I'm trying to see if Umpire Matheson would come in before we start taking call and so forth.
But on the face of it, Mr. Mitchell, without even knowing the details, loss of a job is devastating.
Yeah.
It's devastating. It has consequences. It has economic consequences. It has social consequences. It has family consequences. And the way it was done with the political arm is even more charged. That makes it even more charged.
This entire situation is politicized, and it's unfortunate because it's people's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, this is happening in a time where we are going into the period where we purchase books and uniforms. These are parents, they have families. It's a really unfortunate situation. So the question would be, why terminate the contracts of the contractors? What was the issue there that happened? That you felt the need to dismiss them?
Well,
just ask a question.
There are a lot of allegations made surrounding that, meaning the nature of the contracts. A lot of information is coming out on who got contracts and how they got, and etc., etc. But we will get to the truth. You know, the dust will settle soon, and we will get to the truth of it. But the other question will be, how do we learn from this experience? How do we turn the page from it? How do we not do this again in 5 years? If the baton side changes, are we going to have another change? Because I seem not to believe that this is new. I think it coincides with a lot of controversy that is actually happening in the parliament with the other bill, and while that was being discussed, people got wind. So there's a perfect storm
with state organizations and ministries and so. We must put clear on the table. I remember one of the batsmen that came in made some comments and so forth about a number of workers that were brought into an organization dealing with some agriculture. I think it's youth development ministry, some youth ministry and so forth. And the question was, if those positions were approved by cabinet, terms and conditions and so forth, one cannot at that point in time elude and say the ministry was involved in corruption. The ministry was following a cabinet instruction. We can say the cabinet may have lost its way. We could say all of that. Wasn't thinking straight. We could say all of that. But if the permanent secretary in the ministry comply with a cabinet note, which is an instruction to so do, then they're above board and so forth once they complicit. What I understand in listening to one of the batsmen from utilities and the officer of the Prime Minister, what he was saying that there is no cabinet note approved. Now every year, every ministry would send the cabinet a note. I think I went through the whole thing in terms of for budgeting purpose. And it would have what they want to do with every agency underneath them. For funding for CPEP, how much contractors they're going to have, and a whole business proposal in terms of what the outcome we're looking for from CPEP in this financial year. What the batsman was saying, there was no approved note provided from the ministry to the CPEP company for the engagement of these other new contractors. Right? That's a broad base in it here. And if that wasn't the case, therefore, monies would not have been allocated to so engage. Because the cabinet note would have had a budget to execute what needs to be executed. So the problem would have been now, we had to start vying money in the ministry when time come for payment. Right? I'm just trying to pull it as close together as possible for people to understand. Yeah? So that is, I'm just repeating, not as verbatim as he would have, that those contracts were unlawful, basically what he's saying. That there was no approval from the ministry. The ministry also said that they never approved what was going on in CPEP and so forth relative to those contracts and so. As far as they concerned, they were null and void.
Wow.
Right? I just repeating that. The question is, why did the CPEP company choose to go ultra vira the ministry's instruction? If the ministry is saying that we never give you all any authorization to so do what you did, then somebody setting up somebody, if what the batsman from utilities is saying. At this point on the table.
Okay.
So now that the setup take place and we have to do what we need to do now, you vex with me, but you take the wood that had termite in it, build the house, allow people to go and start to live in the house. And when we see the termite, we come to break down, everybody vex, we putting all the people in the rain, look the rain falling, but you build the house with termite.
That is it.
That may have been more detrimental in the long run, but now we have to find monies to pay 300 and something contractors. I don't know if we had the money to pay all of them. Where the money was coming from. If we say we're on this balancing act that we hardly have, what was that costing the government to pay this ballooning, yes, amount of contractors and staff outside there? Yeah. Now another part of it, the batsman from utilities, Prime Minister's office, saying that agency have not filed any audited report for over 4 years or so.
Wow.
So we bring the people in, and now the people, we look and we say, well, the batsmen and them now bad for shutting down the thing, but then you create, and this is where we tolerate things, you know, and then when we try to fix it now, the man who come to fix it, we say he bad.
That's right.
So the batsmen now say that pension thing, not right, we're going to fix it. Some say they're bad, some say they're good. Same thing with, they come in now and they see this CPEP, some say they're bad, some say they're good. Yeah? But we're trying to fix something. The question is, if we leave all of them, do we have money to pay all of them?
Well, Mr. Martin often asks who is going to bail the cat. So call us on 342-0081 and 466-5391.
Very good point.
We have a
Okay,
caller.
we have a caller.
Caller, welcome. Welcome to the Third Empire.
Good afternoon.
A pleasant good afternoon, madam. Welcome.
Are you hearing me? Because
Loud and
my
clear.
thing is down. Yes, I was listening, but why do you all people speak about if everything is across the board, everything good, everything supposed to be where it's at, and all kind of thing? Let me tell you something, and I don't know why people don't understand. There is corruption, was corruption, will be corruption forever. Okay? People get like, did like they don't know. CPEP, the whole society is corrupt, and this is what I'm trying to say. What you all speak like if everything is in place. Listen to me. One of the first things I heard, and haven't got over yet, is the CPEP contractors or company or whatever has not been audited since, I think, it's 1918 or 17 or whatever. Anyway, some kind of 7 or 6 years now, no audit. So how could you have a company running, people getting paid, life going on as usual, nicely, and you will tell me in 7 or 8 years you're not getting an audit of how millions has been spent? Who is where? Sometimes nothing was put in Parliament, nothing was laid. So how are you running a country? How are you running a country? So people in positions, I don't know what positions you all hold, but people in position walk around like they don't know, right? Have they themselves have a pension? Have their people get their big pension, their normal pension? I heard a lady worked for 18 years and she's home with nothing, right? And sick and has a stroke. What kind of madness is that? And you tell me about Prime Minister. That is the least of the problems I find. That if you want to take $1 million or half $1 million, that's his business. I'm studying about everybody who's supposed to be getting their millions or seeing about their money, watching him. You can't watch the Prime Minister that they have an office and they know what they're doing. Supposed to know what they're doing. Okay? Have you done your business? The million of workers, I know all the workers in unions and things. You haven't heard the stories? And this is over 18 years, 20 years, 30 years. So what, you all getting on like something happened yesterday? I want to be in serious ban, right? When he jump in, I jump in too. Because if you all don't know what to do, right? And year after year, you all take the same old thing. And that's why I against it, we blaming people who hale and hearty and have a thing to worry about and not minding our business and seeking about our legacy.
So true, caller.
Right? And seeking about our land and ourselves. You watching one man, two men. I just don't understand. Could you explain for me how you all are in that position? You heard in Parliament today, I think is it Batiste? One of them was speaking about a call he got. That thing riddled my heart. I said, well, I don't know how people could sit and listen to things like these. And you're all sitting down, the three of you are nicely speaking like if you're in an office. And you might have a little whatever. You heard in Parliament what that man said? That was so heart-wrenching to me.
Well, caller, the role we place to have this conversation with you, the public, we put it out in an open platform to get the feedback from those in the pavilion like yourself. Yes?
Yes.
The issues of the day, and I like your contribution always in terms of, yes, the system is corrupt and so forth. Yes, we have to identify where the corruption is. Yes, human being by nature, we go back from time immemorial. Who study religion in any way, it has been historical, and what we try to do to treat with that, we create laws. But from time to time, some of the creators of the laws is the crooked ones who create the laws with lacunas in it for they themselves to get away with.
Right, but you remember, you cannot make... Could I ask you a question? Or could I say something?
Say something.
Who are making the laws? No, you now say we.
Man is making the law for man. People? Man is making the law for man. That's the thing about it.
Well, all right. Well, who's going to guard the guards? Who's going to guard the guards? I don't believe, listen to me. Man has to be based on humanity. Once you don't have humanity, you don't have morals, you could put law from here to heaven.
Yeah. Caller wanted to pong
How are you going to... How are you going to change your...
We agreed that this is a corrupt society.
No, besides being a corrupt society, you and I are corrupt. You, Mr. The three of you are there. I'm just saying. Take it, the three of you all are the corrupt people. People are always back away, and playing it. Everybody is corrupt. You give you $1,000 and see if you'll say $1 million every month.
No. Call it corrupt.
I'm going to give my people that.
There's only call it corrupt when they're not benefiting from it. Is that what you say?
That's
yes?
it.
You're not benefiting, so you're corrupt. Once I benefit in, it's good. It's good.
Right, so that's what. But when you talk about laws and you all still believe in laws? You all still believe in people? What you have to believe and what you have to, I like how you all speak, because according to you, you are educating people. And my main thing is once you get educated and you think for yourself, that is one step up. One step to your own understanding. You don't have to understand the Stuart Young, Small Pen, the government, Rowley. You have to study yourself. You have to study what you are thinking, how you are going, what you're doing for your children, what you're doing for your land, what you're doing for your community, and come together and be human. The only law I know is the law of humanity, okay?
Excellent.
And once people can't get it in the head that we are all humans, well, I don't know what to say. But anyway, good show. I hope we get it one day.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Oh, yeah, next caller.
We are the next caller. Yeah. Caller, come back.
Caller,
you can call us back. 34208.
Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Pleasant
good afternoon to Mo. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
You know, everything about this dispute we dealing with is wrong. But I just want you all to answer me one question, or two questions to that matter. When the Constitution speaks about the leader of a party, what do you all understand that to mean? And after answering that question, what party has QSL ever needed to be sworn in as the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago? When we could pass that issue, by all means, let him take the money. Okay. By all means. But until we could define what the Constitution means when it says the leader of a party, then he is not entitled, not deserving of this proposed pension. Because if so, then Dr. Oli has given him the Prime Ministership.
I like your twist, caller. I like your twist. I like how you swing it. I like how you body ball. So you saying the fact that in a view, in terms of legitimacy now, you question this. He's not legitimate, and that whole illegitimacy is where the conundrum lies. That he really
exactly
not. Yes, you see that next twist again.
This is where it began. And if it is in the inception.
So you go from the beginning, it was wrong in the beginning, so everything flows out of it is wrong.
Exactly. So if we cannot get past that,
have some people in this pavilion. Look now, man.
He's a cricketer.
You is a cricketer. Ooh, I like the ball.
This is not kindergarten people that we have elected in Parliament, you know. Yeah. These people are fully aware of what they are doing, you know.
Correct.
Fully aware, you know.
Tell him.
Both sides have to be aware.
Tell him, caller. If it is a mistake, caller, they didn't see that.
I like to run up.
This did not hit them by surprise.
Caller, thank you.
The fact of the matter is, the Pauli and them is well learned gentlemen.
Caller, they study this. They study what the hole in the fences. They studied
exactly.
They didn't tell Selvon. Exactly. So Selvon surprised. They didn't tell him.
So caller, are you saying caller? I like. Gotcha. Are you saying the batsmen they were with it? No. I don't have a sentiment, you know. My role is to put different views and perspective on the table. You know?
I understand your view. Selvon, and it's not that you're wrong, you know. The issue here is this issue have multiple factors that must be considered, right?
And we have to put all on the table for a decision to be made. All must be examined.
Exactly. And firstly, the Constitution outlines ways and means for a person to become a Prime Minister. Dr. Rowley wasn't unfit by way of death. He wasn't unfit by way of being medically unfit or anything like that. He was so fit, right, that he held on to the leadership of the party after giving up the leadership of the country, which the Constitution really didn't anticipate that this is what is going to happen, because it's so, right? And this is why the government needs the assistance of the people in the pavilion, because more than just
so true.
More than just this pension for the Prime Minister. What they have to bring to Parliament is we probably have to introduce political in front of parties in the Constitution, so people will clearly understand what the intention of the Constitution.
Is that good amendment? I must take note of that. Good amendment to put it, you see?
We didn't intend to put two pensions at the same time in this manner.
Correct.
Because if so, let us give to Dr. Rowley's pension until Dr. Rowley passed.
Call her thanks again. Thank you, man. All right, good.
The 12th man.
The 12th man spinning nice. I like it.
Yes.
The field is open now, you know.
Of course.
The field is open now. Very nice. So he's saying, look, we have a caller here. Empire Matheson, welcome.
Yeah.
Your views is mostly.
I just listened to the last caller, and he made so much sense.
Yes.
And what I was trying to tell you, Selvon, is I kind of disagree with you on a fundamental level.
No.
The thing is,
I disagree, you know. I put a position on the table. I agree to nothing.
Right. Yeah, I disagree with your position earlier on because I think you know better. What happens? What happens is that I think they took a calculated risk. They knew that they could possibly lose the elections.
Yes.
And therefore, they put persons in office knowing that whether win or lose, they will be able to benefit from the spoils of office. In which case, Stuart Young would have gotten a Prime Minister pension.
Yes.
Now, here was the problem with that. The Constitution never said, in terms for a Prime Minister, what amount of time, like the other MPs, what the amount of time he has to serve to be able to get the pension.
It doesn't say it. No,
and that is what the UNC now have to deal with.
Yes.
But Mr.
They made a recommendation, Matheson. I don't know if you have a copy of it. Their recommendation. I think you read it out.
No, the recommendation is that the Parliament should now assign a time in which a person should serve as Prime Minister before they get that pension, just like the other MPs.
They did that.
In the amendment.
In the amendment, they did that.
But Mr. Matheson, I may engage you as you're on your phone. If you look at the CPEP matter under the same lens, because we have seen a number of decisions being made days before a general election. Nothing new. Let me be honest about that. Nothing new. But again, what that does, in case you lose, it gives you a Trojan horse to make noise and to be relevant. And we have seen the bowling side trying to capitalize on that, offering all types of help and legal aid and clinics. Plenty clinic going on.
And hotline. Go ahead, Brother Matty.
First I want to say, not because I'm not in the pavilion and I'm in the US, I'm not listening to what's going on on the field, on the pitch.
Right.
And one of the things I want to say is that if you look at what has been happening with this CPEP position over the years, the people who really benefit from that, it's not the man who are working for $150 a day and that kind of thing. Many of those persons who you see making a certain noise now and going to legal clinic with penny and all that kind of thing were persons who were sitting in radio station, who was on boards, who held significant board positions and that kind of thing, and who also would have had CPEP contracts. So they were earning $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 for doing practically nothing. In any case, Rollo, you know what the rules are with respect to contract and contract labor and that kind of thing. So,
yes,
in terms of those CPEP contractors, I don't even think they could go to the industrial court on a matter like this.
Exactly. They can't.
Because they are not really workers per se.
Yeah, but
so
again, they'll be used for political mileage.
You know, Marty, you say something there, and part of the contract, I'm looking at one of the contract right now. Contract renewal. Renewal is not automatic. And that's clearly stated in the contract. It's not automatic. It's based on performance, compliance, and availability of government funding. So there are conditionalities. But it's not automatic that you get it. But what they're saying, they renew my contract and then they come and terminate it a month after. But again, it says in their contract also, contract will be terminated by either party with 1 month notice. In the contract also have that. So you are right,
those are things that could be tested. Those are things that could be tested in court, right?
Correct.
And I'm sure their their legal representatives may want to test it in court. I would like to hear what the legal luminaries or the industrial court or wherever it goes, would have to say about that. But we had to look at the bigger political issue. And we had to, remember we talked about belling the cat?
Yes, always.
We just referred to it.
The question is that when Mr. Manning, in his wisdom, would have set up that CPEP program, I don't think he envisaged the feeding frenzy that would have taken place coming out of it. And I'm sure now, if he were to reflect on what he set it up for, he would hold the same position that the UNC holding now. Although the UNC to some extent would have benefited from it at some point in time.
Yeah, and I want to agree with you in principle there too, because I've been looking at what Keir Starmer is facing in England, and he's facing a pushback on the welfare bill again, because they are trying to cut the welfare bill, and there are all questions about eligibility. Mr. Trump, in his beautiful bill, also has welfare cut issues to Medicaid and other social benefits. So somehow the trend is everything that was meant for good under welfare balloons and grows into some sort of creature that goes way out of control. And the question is, when you are addressing it politically and legally, there is going to be a fallout. But what do you do? Because the British Prime Minister said that the cuts that he proposed to welfare would have saved them $5 billion a year. You know, the protesters on the outside say cut war, not welfare. But I was listening, the analogy is good. One of the lords was saying, when the rider is as big as the horse, we have a problem.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's happening in Trinidad right now. That's exactly with everything. A new government coming into office in this particular climate, with the outfield, we spoke about the outfield a lot, the wet, the moisture on the outfield, the geopolitics, everything. A new batsman coming into office, he now have to look at all those prevailing circumstances before he swing. And one of the ways you can deal with it is to trim some of the fat.
You have no choice.
So if you could take that same program and make people productive, pay for performance, not work 2 hours, work 8 hours like everybody else, and get proper pay, and remove all the fat from on top, that will solve a lot of problems and save a lot of money to the country, and at least provide some kind of productivity.
Mr. Madison, did we introduce you to our standing umpire here, Mr. Moyer?
We try to balance the field because we have the two captains in batting now. Female, bowling is female, so we feel it's only right that
and she has a nice smile, Mr. Madison. I think your place is in jeopardy, Mr. Madison.
Simoya Sandyford is no stranger to me. Simoya is a well-known HR expert. And as you know, I am also an HR expert. I came from that field. As a matter of fact, Simoya would know me because we would have done some work together at time, and we went to Lockjack together.
Right.
So I know Simoya well.
Okay.
Right? I know Simoya smile too.
Yes, Mr. Matheson.
So, Mr. Mitchell, we are last in this whole thing. We are last. I'm trying to impress Mr. Matheson, but he already knows that we have another a very qualified umpire here joining us, and she's sitting in and listening.
Right.
We're trying to balance the captaincy. We have 2 female captains, and Street 91.9 has brought on a female umpire. You can't ask it. You can't ask for more. You can't ask for more.
Greater balance cannot be had.
But what I want to say I just want to add one more thing to the pot.
Okay.
And that one thing is, while the government of Trinidad and Tobago is looking to streamline things to get productivity and the right people in place and that kind of thing, in relation to the CPEP program, I think they could monetize our program to provide a different kind of service to Trinidad and Tobago and make us a lot more productive, right? If you look at, and I like to use the parts of the US, most places, most free spaces like what CPEP take care of are usually maintained by private entity, private enterprise, private businesses. We have a lot of private businesses in Trinidad and Tobago who, if they say the government say like rent them a community, adopt a community and maintain a community, and they could use those same CPEP people, pay them to maintain the community, advertise in the community, you know, that kind of thing, and that could be a good way that they could monetize and also keep people at work and be productive.
Yeah, and it goes to the deeper discussion we had last, Mr. Matheson, when you were here, about how we use labor and the role that labor plays in the economy. And once you politicize labor, what is the fallout? Because somebody's rights, or somebody feels that their rights have been abridged, and we have cases filed in court. And what maybe, as you said in its origin, was a very healthy, well-calculated welfare program has now come into a pizzeria, for want of a better word, where we are, the end of the day, the workers are those who lose. At the end of the day, government changes and the workers lose at the end of the day, because this type of welfare at its current rate is not sustainable without belling the cat.
Yeah.
It's unpopular.
Exactly.
It's unpopular, and it's going to be very unpopular. But there's no other time, and that's the captain of the batting side is faced with that dilemma. There's no other time to set it right.
But Madison, you're correct with something you say, and I think there's alignment with CPEP core objective. You know, looking at the cabinet note here, there's two cabinet notes, July 2002 and 2006. So the CPEP company was established, cabinet note 1927, that formalized the CPEP company. I want to go into drill down on what you were saying there. So it really deals with, to a large extent, empower communities to actively improve their local environment, so create opportunities within a certain catchment of the company and so forth. Provide employment opportunities for semi-skilled and unskilled citizens. Foster, and I want to expand on this one later, foster small business development through environmental service contract. Support sustainable development aligned with national and international environmental policies. Now, that was the core objective outlined by Cabinet in the Cabinet note that established this thing. In this whole thing, because I think I was on one side, I was in government at that time too, there was supposed to be a clear rotation of persons. You're not supposed to be there. After 3 years, you're supposed to rotate out, because we were trying to develop, foster small businesses development through environment. You see, through environment service. So we're trying to create small entrepreneurs. Manning was on that drive at the time. You were with me, Matheson, when we were trying to create a lot of small entrepreneurs, small companies. So, but CPEP was always doing what it was doing, but it was also an incubator.
Yes,
for small businesses. So when you get at 3 years, you learn, because a lot of the contractors, when they came in, we had to assign accountants and so forth for these businesses, because they didn't know accounting, how to do balance the books, how to do this and so on. So we had
to tell me now with what the UNC is doing, why you have now Faris and Penny and all of them making noise about people who was there for about 10, 15 years as CPEP contractors making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars.
Simple, because they feel people don't know what the rubric of CPEP is all about. So they feel it's a feeding frenzy. They create a whole bacchanal out of the thing, and they put disorder, and people feel disorder becomes the norm. But when you look back at what is for every 3 years, they're supposed to be out. Nobody's supposed to be in CPEP for 10 years and 15 years as a contractor. It's to create opportunities. to develop small businesses. Huh?
I will rock back here in my hotel room and I'll keep listening
you
to
show
you.
off now? All right. Well, you show off. You show off.
I know you have a capable person in Seymour who will represent me.
Yes.
Thank you, Umpire Madison. Yes. Welcome again. Good.
So that point that you raised, that this is supposed to be done 3 years and then you out, then they will have some explaining to do as to why you renew for a further 3 years. Because the minister, I think is Mr. Padarat, he indicated that this contract was renewed for a further 3 years. So then what is the reason? A
community empowerment incubator designed to nurture environmental entrepreneurship and small business development. Incubator. And everybody lost the mooring because suddenly the man who is the contractor, he's the carpenter, he's the engineer, he have a CPEP contract too. So the real purpose and intent of the cabinet note was lost. Then it have where now to get a CPEP contract, the MP had to recommend you. If an MP don't recommend you, can we have a caller?
Yes, we can take a call.
This caller seems to be eluding. Call back there. Some like a press too late. Caller here. All right. Caller, welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
Good
afternoon. Welcome, caller. Welcome.
Right. Well, I think by now, everybody know my voice. Presidential.
It showed up different here, so I wasn't making out, and it come on a different phone too, Prezi. But rock and roll, ball in your court.
Good. All right, okay. Well, good afternoon to Trinidad and Tobago too. I want to start by simply saying, corruption, galore. And in respect of saying that, I want to put in a phrase here that many of us can really look at it. I hear brother just talk about it. But what we're going through in this whole society is a strawman fallacy ideology. And I really up and I recognize it for being opposition against authority, authority opposite opposition. A misrepresentation on either side because to keep a foolery on the minds of the people. So who being fooled here is the people. Because the government, as it is, whether the opposition or the authority, they carry this fallacy of a strawman, where misrepresentation is continually happening. So what is happening? The society of itself can hold us straight bound to no real consciousness, because that's where they're supposed to stay, where the government and them is concerned. Now, this situation of detention was to begin. And like a brother said earlier, he put it in one word. I put it in all kind of way. I get so much, I talk all kind of things, but he put it in one word. They call it ethics. I hear him just now, ethics. In Dr. What did they call Robinson? They say moral and ethics and so what? It stands with plenty of us even today. That you see that unethical attitude of how this person got the vote. All of us talk so much about they want about is the seat. But the seat has to be held by something. You can't have a disciple without the word discipline. If you have the word discipline and you want to have a disciple, well, then that has to be the human, because you don't get nobody to fit the word disciple and discipline. So that's the point. So I don't have no way that the society going to take that unethical attitude and encourage that seat to get so much money in one day. And I say in one day, because I remember it's like overnight that the election was called after that person was, they say he elected like yesterday and like today, an election call. I think I remember in that very well, anybody tell me. And so all what I see, all we're going through is a strawman ideology because we only fooling the people to get what? Who to get what? You think we taking up? The next thing it could have is a revolution with workers in Trinidad and Tobago. All workers gone out because to take that and them ain't getting what they're supposed to get, where they owe them and all kind of thing, and you just come just and looking to belittle them with the attitude of a strawman ideology. Here I telling all your electorate, all your not elected but educated people who really believe that the uneducated is really fools. No, I think we've kind of subordinated so that we, in some respect, we don't know that we could get up and stand up and act against the governance of ourselves. I think that's already happening. But we're not taking this one.
All right. Thank you, caller.
I say we're not taking
this one. All right, caller. Thanks again. Good contribution. I know what I do. Yeah. So you realize we're getting a statement from the pavilion that welcome, caller. Caller, welcome. Woo, caller, you had to change location there. You're breaking up a lot, man. Yeah. Call back, caller. You're breaking up a lot there. You realize a consistent tone is coming from the pavilion, a word called corruption on the field.
But I told you that.
Caller, welcome.
Yes,
loud and clear, loud and clear, like in the studio.
But I really want to answer to the question.
Which one? We have two of them on the table.
What is meant by the Constitution when it says leader of party? And was Stuart Young ever a leader of any party in this country? Because if that requirement was not fulfilled, it means that Dr. Rowley blatantly disregarded that, right? And the thing about it is, even after the fact, when they lost the election, he wasn't able to get the requirement under his belt in terms of leading the PNM.
But you know, caller, I hear you, and I'm going along with you for ease of conversation. You know, it mystifies me sometimes.
I'm listening.
There are other people in the group that went along with that decision, you know, and that is amazing. And we try to look for balance. And the same people who would have participated in saying he's the leader based on that construct, went along, people voted for them and they went back in and so forth. And you had a half saying, well, no, that is wrong. And then they tell all of us, we's kumbaya tomorrow, put us back in. And we had to realize that we just been played. The people in the pavilion just been played because there's all kind of hopscotch. The ball have a bruise on it, the thread loose on the ball and they're bowling with it. But how can some say yeah for that, some say nay for that, and then all them come together and say, kumbaya, we're going down the road together and so forth. Who am I going who? Really and truly. We the people, and I like how the pavilion, the conversation you have brought to the table to say, hey, fool me once, but fool me twice, I'm watching you different now. And it's good to know that observation, and I think the vote in the election demonstrate a behavior in the pavilion that more observation is taking place of the play on the field. Am I right, colleague?
Yeah, extremely, extremely right. And you know what is ironic, Mr. Selvon? That these same people in opposition who unwilling to allow Stuart to take one for the team, one for Trinidad and Tobago, they have no problem with letting other persons who don't receive perks, don't even have that height of salary, they have no problem with these people taking one for the team in the team being Trinidad and Tobago, because we had stopped the scrap iron industry, right? Disenfranchising all the people who were doing the right thing in that industry because it had a height of thievery going on, right? So these other people who were doing the right thing in that industry took one for the team at that point in time, not so?
Solid. Caller, we're going for a little break. You can always shout you back after, yes?
No problem.
Listen.
Where was her cell phone?
You hear? Pavilion is waking up.
Things are not as nice as you think they are.
The pavilion.
Your utopia has been foiled.
No.
We were quarreling last week about this being a corrupt place. You were telling me that the technicalities of the law allows.
Yes.
And you were hiding your butt.
No, we go
from
back
the ball.
to was slavery bad? But it was legal.
But our female caller tells you that this is a dark place. Life is short, nasty and brutish. She reminded you of Hobbs and Locke.
Well, that just tells you the extent of group think that we have in the party.
Ah, we'll have to get
so
into
we come
group
back
think.
to that one.
We had to get into group thing. So it's not right and what's wrong.
No,
it's where the group
think.
go.
It's a clear
So
situation
is what get along, go along to get along, as the case may be.
Collective responsibility, you tell me? You say that it's collective responsibility?
For what is right.
And that is not
But
that
you must
part
stand.
of it?
But you must stand for something.
Okay.
And I look at leadership as standing for something because I mean we look at how leaders were foisted on us. But caller, we're going for a short, pay some bills. We'll be right back. See you in a few.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
Are you tired of scratching the surface? Do you want to understand the real forces shaping Trinidad and Tobago? From the delicate dance of our energy sector on the global stage, to the geopolitical shadows behind the crime affecting our streets, we dig deeper. The third umpire goes beyond the headlines. We connect the dots between local challenges and the international currents that truly impact your life, your wallet, your security. Join Stephen Matheson, Selvin Mitchell, and Ronaldo Rollux, 3 employment law and human resource management consulting professionals, as they unpack the complexities, analyze the power plays, and reveal the often hidden realities. Understand the game. Understand your role in it. The third umpire, critically analyzing Trinidad and Tobago's economic and political realities on how they affect your daily lives. Tune in Monday to Friday at 4 p.m. on the Street 919 FM. Don't just listen to the news. Understand it.
We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. We rollin' big when the jackpot hit. Play way fast cash, that is the fit. We rollin' big. Fast cash and play way take win. No extra spend, just vibes and luck. Play way and fast cash turn up. We rollin', yes we rollin' big. Fast cash and play way take win. Mega mix or monster pick. Jackpot from 10,000 quick.
Jackpots starting at $10,000 have now been added to NLCB's Playway and Fast Cash games. Wager on Playway Mega Mix or Fast Cash Monster Draw for a chance to win the jackpots after every draw. Don't miss out. Visit NLCBgames.com for details. Players must be 18 or older. Please play responsibly.
Planning your Tobago getaway? Choose the highest Google-rated car rental company on the island, O'Neill Auto Rentals Tobago. Located just minutes from the A&R Robinson International Airport, at O'Neill, we pride ourselves on being the most tech-savvy car rental company in Tobago. Our process is 100% digital. No paperwork, no long lines. From easy pickup to seamless returns, renting a car in Tobago has never been simpler. WhatsApp us now at 1-868-361-1042 to book your vehicle. Don't forget to mention promo code RADIO2 to receive a 5% discount on your rental. Send a WhatsApp message to 1-868-361-1042 today. That's 1-868-361-1042. O'Neill Auto Rentals Tobago, the easiest, most reliable car rental experience on the island.
Vehicle availability is subject to change. Driver must be at least 25 years old and have a valid driver's license to book. For more information, visit www.rentalcartobago.com.
The Gap Man Limited specializes in products that cater to all your health needs. The Male Enhancement Package targets the areas of the body that contribute to erectile dysfunction. The Male Enhancement costs $1,400. The Gap pills are priced at 250 pills for $500 and 500 pills for just $900. For the best in eye care, get the super combination of a Super Bright and the Body Healer. To improve the heart's function and circulation, get the Gap pills and Formula C. To get a total body cleanse daily, use the Gap Body Healer and Big C, all for a super low price of $1,300. To order your products from the Gap Man Limited, call 628-4531 for products that cater to all your health needs.
For more info, contact 476-7268.
Welcome to Pizza Hut.
Hi, can I get a medium pepper?
Here you go.
Oh, wow. How did you...
It's Pizza Hut's Hot to Go. So you get taste, quality, and speed all in one go.
And I can get
one medium hot to go for $89 or two medium hot to go for $169 in pepperoni, Hawaiian, and veg, Monday to Friday.
Can you
get your girlfriend to forgive you as fast as our hot to go pizza? No, sir.
Come in and try our hot to go specials today at locations nationwide. Pizza Hut. Now that's delivering.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
To the pavilion, we are back. We're going to delve deep into the intricacies and behavior of terms and conditions relative to the CPEP thing. Let us expand and elucidate on it if I throw it to my other empires.
Well, we definitely have to call in the labor batsman. He has to come back. He has to come back and he has to comment as to what is happening with labor in the country.
So you have to come back from the
yes,
pavilion.
he needs to comment. He has to comment. He has to comment because this issue is bigger than CPEP. CPEP is just a casualty of what is happening because we have taken a certain custom and practice towards contract labor and contract work and contracts that is at variance with industrial relations best practice.
Absolutely. So earlier when I came in, I was sharing about the fact that those CPEP workers aren't employees. They aren't workers. Matterson expressed the same thing. They are there to provide a service under a contractor.
So are we talking about the workers that are employed with the contractors here?
That's correct.
Okay.
They are not employees of the ministry.
So they are not employees of the CPEP company?
No. They are under the contractor. They are providing a service. So I explained earlier, if you have an event and you hire a caterer, their waiters and waitresses, etc., are not your employees. If the event is cancelled and they pull the contract from the caterer, then the employees can't come to quarrel with you.
Okay.
Right? So we have to be careful with that kind of narrative that's going around because the paper said 100 workers fired. But they may be under the project, whatever project is assigned there, but they are employees of the contractor.
So is a sort of false expectation taking place. Now, what is the relationship now in terms of contract law with the contractors and CPEP now? Because what I understand is some 300 or so contractors. How many contractors were terminated? Is anyway? Were terminated from CPEP, the contractors who employ the workers and so on. Now, if the contractors were terminated, first, an illegal contract, if a contract is illegal, the fact that you have it doesn't make it legal, you know.
Yeah.
And if in examination, the ministry or attorney general, whoever, say the contract is an illegal contract, it becomes null and void if it is illegal. That's the first thing I learned in law, by the way, yes. So, we have to ask ourselves, if those contractors that the batsman from the PM office, the captain's office, say those contracts were illegal because they did not fall within the measurements of the terms and conditions that CPEP supposed to give these contracts, then the contracts are null and void. You can't do an illegal act and say, I did it, and justify it because it was in good intent.
Well, that brings me back to my point of foresight. This is deliberate.
But this is a company that wasn't audited for over 4 or 5 years.
The renewal of these contracts without, apart from the proper approvals, we yet to verify that that has been so. But knowing very well that we're going into elections process, I think, to be honest, that is wicked and inhumane.
You're setting somebody up.
You're setting them
somebody up. Because if you lost now,
you're setting up workers, you're setting up families. You understand
so
it?
Don't come and play pious now.
It's better to understand that how you came in is how you exit. You came in because of favor, and favor ends. So we have to part ways. You understand? The party done, the light on.
You try a thing.
The DJ packing up, the party done. But to tell everybody go ahead and dance, you have 2 more hours, and you packing up. You sweeping up, you know, but you're telling people go ahead and dance. Don't worry about me. Don't study me. I just going to come back. You're setting up the workers, and the workers really they are those who pay the price.
But nobody is selling it like that. They give the impression that the fact that we're looking to reorganize, realign, fix it, address the wrongs, it looked like Izzy bad man.
Yeah. But in our effort to provide welfare and work alleviation, makeshift work systems need to be carefully managed.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you create a drug of dependency upon which, remember, you keep renewing my contract. I go and take out a car. I go and get a little loan. I went by courts. I thinking everything is everything. There's no indication. Good? And then, I mean, some of us have to be honest with ourselves. By what fortune did we get these contracts? Is it because you went through rigorous HR
screening, evaluation, as it indicated in the cabinet note? How you go about getting this contract? How many got the contract because a minister or MP recommend you, send your name to the company and say, hire this man? Now, if you got it, so be true to thyself, you know, and not because you get a contract, in a illegitimate way, and you lose it. Now you come and you play victim, you know. If you start bad, you will end bad, really and truly.
Well, remember when you had the contract, you didn't put anything in place for your workers, huh? They were just getting paid by the state, and you getting paid for your contract. You're running legitimate business. But at that time, the welfare of the workers weren't an issue.
Was the least a concern?
No, there wasn't any concern, because at the end of the day, we really have a type of amnesia here. You know, this is not the first time this has happened.
Correct.
This is not the first time this has happened, and somebody had to end some contract. Good, but the Labour batsman has to make a clarion call.
What's his view?
I don't know. I haven't heard him comment on the issue, but something is wrong with how we try to use labor.
That's correct.
In this country, politically especially, because the workers every 5 years they pay the price. Things change. I was a CEO yesterday. Tomorrow, I'll take a maxi. Good. And then next day something happened, and in one for betterment, in one for survival, people take these chances. People take these chances and all the promises that come with it, and that causes a lot of pain and stress, when reality, you know, you really betting on one horse in a 2-horse race.
So it's only right when you win.
Because
so I win now, so
just like the argument you brought with Mr. Young, if this government, the present batting team, did not win, we wouldn't be hearing about this.
Exactly.
There would be no wrong.
And nobody would look to change it, to fix it. The possibility wouldn't come about.
And then they may have even accepted their own fate, even if the red team was still bowling. and couldn't sustain this by some way, they would say, well, we had to do what we had to do.
No, but Petrotrin is an example. Times hard, and we shut down Petrotrin.
Times hard.
But in this case,
so in
now,
this case, so if this batting team say, okay, we had to downsize, we had to close down to some extent because time hard. Are we saying that they can't say it? So
we sent them Petrotrin workers.
Yeah.
But somehow we were convinced that was for good.
But sending these home is not
CPEP workers going home.
But that is not for good.
No, that's bad. So you see how we play with labor.
So we got to go back to what the lady was saying. We did just sort of people under the guise of, corrupt.
We're playing with labor, and that is very...
Playing smart with foolishness.
It's very disheartening to the people.
But look how many years we're hearing about ghost gangs.
Good.
For years. We all know people coming to sign in and they didn't even show up for work. When you even look at the behaviors on the street, sometimes you come into work, you're seeing man sit down in a corner. You're seeing all of these things and you're wondering about the productivity. So what is the reason really for these contracts? I will go into something. In the public service, they have, apart from the fixed term contracts, they have 3 years. Some people get contract with 3 months. And then they renew in another 3 months, break them for a week, break them for a couple of days, another 3 months. For what reason? If the job is to be done, there's a need for the job. What is the reason why we're having all these short-term contracts? You are still playing with people's future because after 3 consecutive 3-month contract, you already hit a year and you have to get those benefits. So there's no leave. On those types of contracts, there's no gratuity. So what are we doing? Contract labor is becoming harsh. Well, not becoming, it is harsh and oppressive to some extent because you are giving people reasonable expectation. I know of people who have been on contract for years, 10 and 15 years, going down. Their productivity is not increasing. They are getting a gratuity at the end of the period. Note that the guidelines for contract employment says that your gratuity is due on the basis of good performance.
They have to perform.
Good performance, you have to perform.
You have to be there to perform.
But there are people who are doing the most. But because they have been there for so many years, you write that on their performance appraisal and see how much thunder you will get. So I'm saying contract employment is causing difficulties for productivity because the judgment of it is not fair.
Correct.
It's not fair to the employees, it's not fair to the organization because you have this person. We see it in the public sector. When you get this kind of poor treatment, the customer service is terrible. So how is this person being renewed?
You forcing the next batsman to come in,
You have to talk. He has to speak.
Labor batsman have a lot here.
Let me ask you this: if you're living on short-term contracts, what type of worker is that? You giving your all?
Of course.
Are you in here for 3 months?
No, my eyes outside looking for better opportunity. I can focus on you.
You asking me to go above and beyond to make the public for 3 months?
Again, I put it back to CPEP and is a level of maintain a level of probably pauperization or something like that to understand the major task. But is there, and I must ask CPEP that too, was there any development program? I'm looking through the cabinet note. I'm looking for a development program in it. I know NETCO had established one for after they provided loans to small business and so forth. What was the nexus of the contractors in CPEP? After 3 months, you would have learned something, you move on. Are those workers to maintain cutting grass for the rest of their lives, as the case would be, or that's it? Or are we saying, well, in every society there must be somebody to cut the grass, so we have no problem with that?
And this is the evil in it. Let me read something here without quoting the writer. The distribution of CPEP teams shows a clear political bias. PNM Strongholds received 443 out of 840 teams, while UNC areas got only 216.
Whoa.
So if it's about development and community,
as the note said,
no, to be honest, we only reading statistics as it is now. And one would assume that when it was another time, it may have been different and distorted toward another side. But why is that? What is that? That's not welfare.
No, that term to be welfare now, if it's skewed and not based on any evaluation in terms of, okay, what determines, you see, we're going into the science of distribution of contracts now.
Yeah.
What determines how many contractors should be in an area? What is the measurement that is used to know that based on the amount of grass? I saw one. I was doing a comparison of the list, and I saw they had 45 in one area that is predominantly paved and built up on residential, and one that is predominantly agriculture, yeah? Flora and fauna all over had only about 23. And I was trying to figure out, well, he have more grass to cut, more drain to clean, more shitting, but he have half than the one that basically have in a concrete jungle, really and truly. And all of this, I hope the batsmen, in terms of reviewing, review it in the context that you're going to put something that makes sense. I have no problem with reviewing, you know. I have no problem you're breaking down the house because you say plenty termite in the house. No problem, good, break it down. But the thing about it, let me see what you're building it back with. Yeah. Let me see how you're doing it. Do just say we start it over again and we just start and we go again. There must be measurements, and measurements that the pavilion could look at and see fair play. Yeah? Yeah? Not that you get the contract because this minister recommend you and you can't get it unless a minister recommend you. So if you don't know any minister or any MP, you can't get a contract. Is that one of the rubric in terms of engagement? So there must be that level of oversight, not only by you, the batsmen, you know, but by society as a whole, because this is my funds, society funds, the people in pavilion funds, where they want to buy the drinks for the cooler that you're taking to do this with. Yeah? So we must ask for a higher standard to reduce the statement of corruption, because corruption exists because lack of measurements, you know. Yeah. How can, I hear it with Caribbean Airline, I hear it with CPEP now. You have been audited for all these years and you're still employed and going to work. Why the CEO feel it's so comfortable tomorrow to go in the office? Why should he feel so comfortable? I have a job. Why should that be part of his vocabulary? I have a job. You have been audited for 4 or 5 years, which is part of your job description to ensure. Correct. What is the board doing? Is the board, the chairman, and them still there? Why would they go in and say, I is director and I chairman, and your delivery is nil?
Yep.
That's why.
What are the measurements?
And that you raise a serious question, and that's why when speaking to Mr. Mattison in his discussion about pay for performance, I said and I made a statement that is for the people at the bottom. Because if what you say apply to the CEO and the people that are at the top, how do you measure their performance?
Yeah, you know, in this whole contract, have KPIs for, you know, it's Celine was saying that. They talk about KPIs for the contractors and the workers. There are KPIs for them and measurements for their performance. But the management of CPF, you have no KPIs or measurement for their performance. Suddenly, yeah, we can't be measured.
No, it can't be.
We water in the ocean. We the ocean, you can't measure.
Yeah, and I always say it is because, for me, of the unidirectional movement within the public service and things like that. So promotion is relevant, but demotion is not something we speak. Yeah. So what inspires me if I have a post for 33 and 30 years? What inspires me to work? What if the only place I could go is up? Why work? Why working myself for? Somebody got dead and I will get the post.
I'll go up again.
Yeah, I will go up again. Yeah. I don't have to perform. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I climb about 8 stairs. There are 8 people below me. So where's the worst could happen?
So you really, if I'm a CPEP contractor and me, the MP and I have a good thing, I don't have to worry about nothing. I show inside.
Of course.
Because that is the measurement.
Of course.
Who you know.
Of course. and you're safeguarded, and obviously.
But at the end of the day, as you all say, when the belling of the cat comes along now,
yeah,
everybody bad. They're
Yeah.
bad.
It's
They're
a
bad.
very tough
when we're
discussion.
trying to deal with
Very,
the
very hard
lacuna,
discussion.
the corruption, as some people like to use harsh words as corruption and so forth. But again, corruption is only for those who didn't benefit. Those who benefit don't call it that at all. When you lose it, oh God, they're corrupt and they're bad and so forth.
Some
But
members of the pavilion
measurement-
are saying they're not hearing us, so I don't know if our technical team would address the
Who they're
the
not-
feed.
they're not hearing all of
Yeah, they're
us
not
or some of
feeling-
us?
Yeah, they're not getting it through the feed that we put out.
We have a caller here. let me see. Caller.
Yeah. Well, I almost
How you fortunate, so Prezi? You are the
Yeah,
most
but,
fortunate because I just see numbers, I'm not seeing any names, so I just flicking the switch, but you seem to be a fortunate young man.
All right, okay. All right, because I want to say the pavilion and 10 days back and that, you know. Right, so here we go. Now, that topic nice in the sense of we learning something. As the female umpire says, she make we recognize ministry, CPEP, and contractor, and then worker. So we have four sections. Now, you say you're going to bring in the labor minister. He's really important in this.
Yeah, he had to come back in.
Because, and in respect, he will be important in whole scenarios.
Correct.
Even by the pension and all too, because according to your consciousness of days ago, the public administration going to be part of this. So I want to believe that is a whole section will have to be dealt with. I want to believe that in the little breakdown of the CPEP right now, I think Sister Kamala, Prime Minister Kamala, I feel she will be want to be working real hard to get that going, because since we have been now the Labour Minister in that section, because that's going to be a terrible ministry, because as me, I don't know me taking no set of apparat. So then she has to break herself up away, because revolution is a thing nobody like. And when the Labour want to revolute, they want the money. So that whole program they have to properly fix. Bring in the Labour one. Because the Labour man has to come and show me all the gratitude that now CPEP continues to do, bring them back in, how much gratuity, and then they can get, because for the longest while they're working for penny, and they even have a, what we just call a little back pay or a severance or nothing. And I mean, it's part-time working too, but somewhere we are able to put on a little help, something or whatever. Because we just have people just being victimized over a system of people who we know greedy, which is like the contractors and them, and I wouldn't even surprise the CPEP company.
Agreed. There must be an end in mind. There must be some development plan. There must be something in
And
place.
believe me,
A worker can't be working in with a contractor and CPEP
right,
without terms
and
and conditions.
And at this point where we, as the citizens, as the pavilion, don't know the fact we are getting burnt. Especially we Black African people wanting to pray. We are getting right over who wants to pay. They want to control. We under massa attitude. So we get involved. I say whoever we put up on the to rule this country, get right too. Because if they don't, we are coming hard against this evil system.
All right, Prezi. Thanks again. Good man. We here in the pavilion. Consciousness taking place outside there, people understanding. Let's take this one. Let me take a caller. Welcome.
Yes, good afternoon again to the panel. I think I'll figure it out. requirements are not required in Trinidad and Tobago anymore. Fulfilling requirements is not something that we require. So you could bypass a requirement, you could overlook it, in spite of it being in black and white. And if you pay close attention, in these two issues being discussed and in many more, it is the same thing. We just overlooking requirements because it is a requirement to audit your thing. In 6 years, you haven't done it. Right? You're not closing your eyes and dotting your teeth, but you want to make noise now. In the next thing, it was a requirement that the person that Dr. Rowley to hand over the party to should have been a leader of some party, whether it's a vice cartel party, a carnival party, some kind of party. And I don't know if they have to bring that legislation to specify that it's a political party that they have to lead to be able to hold this position. That they just bypassing requirements.
Point
because
taken.
What does the Constitution mean when it says the leader of a party?
Point taken. Point taken. Good. The pavilion warm. Did what they brought in that cooler? What? Caller, welcome. Caller, welcome.
Hello, good afternoon.
A pleasant good afternoon to you, madam. How do you do?
Okay, I want to find out who hires the contractors?
The contractors would be CPEP company would have. In CPEP you're speaking of, yes?
Yes.
Yeah, the CPEP company would be the employer in this regard.
Who hires the contractors? Who are the employers?
Well, CPEP company on behalf of the state.
So it's in a ministry, it has a ministry to
Yeah, I think it, well,
controls.
it's now under rural development. I don't know which ministry is under rural development now.
Yes.
Yeah, it move around a lot.
Uh-huh. So that's why we don't know anything, because we don't know who are the contractors, who hires them. But, and then that audit has been done so long. So, to me, all the questions you all are asking, I find we could ask them.
Well,
who hires the contractor.
Yeah, we intend to put some question to the batsman called the Minister of Labour to get his views in terms of terms and condition of work, employment contract, and so forth, and the protection of workers in this whole conundrum we call CPEP and so forth. Where's the nexus? How it will be restructured? What would be the remuneration of the workers in this industry as they go forward? So yes, okay, they would have terminated contracts, yeah? The question is what next and how
did
next?
You call them? No, but did you get an answer? Did you call the people, the Minister of Labour?
No, not as yet. We'll be bringing him on the floor. Not as yet.
I mean,
it's now unfolding. The whole thing is unfolding, and he'll be commenting. So as he comment, and we'll evaluate his comments on it and so forth as this unfold. Because this is
right. But I heard the young lady speaking. I thought CPEP was a short-term business. It was not supposed to be long-term. It's just a short-term, wasn't it?
Well,
it's not supposed to
in
be
terms
like
of
a real job.
in terms of with the workers and the contractor, that is something separate apart from the state. That is their relationship with the contractor that employs them. But the contractor's relationship with the state supposed to be on a cyclical basis, whereby 1 to 3 year contracts they're supposed to be engaged in, and then phase out, and other persons get opportunities inside of it and so forth. But something went awry, and we are where we are today.
And no questions asked. So we are now floundering, you know. But anyway, good show.
Yes, thank you very much, caller. Thank you very much.
I will.
So we do have, and we want callers to understand. On the third empire here, we treating with the deeper issues.
Caller.
We have another caller.
Caller, welcome.
Hi, I finally got you.
Great.
Well, a lot of people in the pavilion, you know, and it's not people drinking contents that will make them
plenty pushing and shoving.
They're sober.
Yeah,
very
but,
sober.
But you get you. Tell us, caller.
Yes. So I was listening just now, and somebody was saying that in this case, right?
Yes.
The employees of the contractor needs to kind of sort out their stuff with the contractor who would have hired them, right?
Yes.
The strange thing about CPAP is CPAP remits payment to the employees directly. You know, the contractor is not responsible for that.
Correct.
And then, how is it now that it's only contractor to pacify the situation with CPAP terminating contracts when the employee-employee relationship is so weird, where the employer, the contractor, does not even pay his workers directly. To the point where they don't even pay NIS contributions directly from their pockets. The CPAP remits the funds to the NIB.
So
and incorrectly at that as well.
So the contract of the employee that is out there is with whom? Is with CPAP, and the contractor have a management contract with CPAP to manage the workers? So when the employee is hired, his contract is with whom? Who does he sign a contract of employment with?
But he signs a contract with the contractor, who now provides CPAP with the information for all the employees under them.
CPAP pays.
So then CPAP assists the contractor in managing the terms and conditions of payment, NIS and so forth on behalf of the contractor. Could we be looking at it that way? But the contract of the employee is with the contractor, so he have a engagement with. So CPAP role in terms of facilitating the contractor or assisting him. Remember, CPAP was born out of the intent is to develop contractors as an incubator. When CPAP started many years ago, the government, recognizing the limitation of what we call management capacity in contractors, assigned accountants to a number of contractors to assist them in doing their books. So like you had one accountant will handle 3 contractors and so forth, yeah? I think what they have done now is move it away from hiring a set of external accounting firms and so forth, and start doing the accounting for the small contractors and the contractors in-house. Because it's really supposed to be, as we say, an incubator trying to build capacity, yeah, in entrepreneurs and so forth. So the intention, I remember going back in the notes because I was here in the genesis of all of this, and a number of persons on the bowling side was part of this, where we said it is the man we were looking for, and I've been raw about it. We were looking for people who do not have any business experience. You don't have to have no degree and no business and no BSc. We wanted to build entrepreneurs really and truly. So we bring you into this environment here where you provide a service with the assistance of CPAP to build capacity in you, and after 3 years you would have understood how to do these things, and then you go on your own. That was the vision of this whole thing.
The vision was properly well skewed because CPAP still manages
because
the accounts of the contractors, and then the contractors are now held liable by NIB and BIR for incorrect payments of taxes and contributions.
Right.
That is paid by the CPAP.
Right, because CPAP is just assisting them, but it's their responsibility. But how many of them have the software and how to calculate NIS and health surcharge and this and that? So CPAP really replaces the external.
But if the contractor does not have the funds to make the payments, the contractors only pay their portion of the contract, their payment. They are not given the taxes to remit to the boards and stuff like that. This is done directly from CPAP to the NIB and to the board.
Yeah. Good call.
But CPAP is paying it incorrectly. So how are we helping entrepreneurs who have no clue about business when they do their books incorrectly?
Well, I want you to keep calling back, caller, because you have some contribution to make as we rebuild and redefine the roles and responsibility of CPAP and the output that we want relative to national development. Your contribution is salient, and probably the government probably should hire you to guide them on how to do this thing, because you seem to understand it more than them. You understand?
Yeah.
Good contribution. Thanks again. Thanks again.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Well, then now we are getting a different dynamic here because based on what she's saying, taxes are being paid for these people. So then, as a collective, they could come together and sue.
Let me throw in a monkey wrench before you answer that call. Let me throw the monkey wrench in the discussion this evening. NATUC lobbies for CPEP workers. Michael Anisette, General Secretary of the National Trade Union Center, has shown his support behind over 10,000 CPEP workers nationwide who have been affected by the recent termination of their government contracts by the UNC-led government. A statement on June the 30th said that the organization stood in solidarity with the workers. He also demanded that the government absorb the workers into the existing contractual framework to protect their livelihoods. The statement said that thousands of CPEP workers reached out to NATUC expressing their fear and uncertainty over termination. We understand the gravity of the situation, says NATUC, and the impact that these decisions have on the lives and livelihoods of these working class families. NATUC acknowledges the stated concerns of government regarding allegations of nepotism, cronyism, and poor governance in previous award of CPEP contracts, many of which, it has been alleged, were granted to politically connected individuals aligned with the former administration. However, we state emphatically, workers must not be made to bear the economic burden for the misconduct or failing of contractors. CPEP workers have long toiled under difficult conditions, often with little job security, and it is wholly unjust for them to be collateral damage in the pursuit of accountability.
Yeah. So I'm agreeing with the elder. Let me take a caller. We have some time. Let's take a caller. Caller, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon.
Pleasant good
I hear a lady voice. Yes, good afternoon, gentlemen and lady.
Good afternoon.
All right. CPEP. Now, the CPEP was originated in Australia, but they call it CDEP. They call it CDEP, C-E-D-E-P. And it was done under former Prime Minister Rudd, when the Aborigines in Tasmania, they found the place was too untidy. Right? So they requested that the new Rudd, and he came and on the spot devised that system he called CDEP, environmental rules. Apparently, somebody has planted the idea to that, right? And he added a contract concept to it, right? So I do not know. There are many sides to look at this thing. One, the workers, not the contractors, even and the workers were supposed to form some kind of a trade union body, right, to see about their interests. We have the labor inspectorate, who it seems I do not know what input they had. Right? We're not sure whether these people are paid statutory deductions, right? And what has happened to, we normally have institutions of government that they move away from all those RECO programs. For example, in 1986, they now when they won the scrap dude, I was a worker in good sign about it. We got next to nothing, right? Although we were fortunate to have union representation, but we were not properly compensated in terms of the Severance Act 32 or 85, right? After that, after the now loss in 1991, in PNM came Mr. Marin came with EVRP, right? So all those are political entities, right? I talk about Dude, I talk about EVRP, I talk about STEP, right? And so there's precedent in that. And another thing is we go to Westminster system, where the winner takes all. So the prerogative of the new government is that they can do as they did to collapse CPEP and come with a new organization, or let it fall under the direction of a ministry.
Okay. Thank you, caller.
Yes, that's what I see. Yeah.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Now, CPEP is, let me tell you, when CPEP came out, you know, people paying people to paint stone and all kind of thing like that. My opinion is, just as you have a budget to maintain your home, the country must have a budget to maintain the environment. Yes? So CPEP is useful, relevant, and productive in that regard. It have a role to play. Yeah. We make good things look bad sometimes by how we manage it. Yeah? So CPEP is useful, relevant, and productive. As I say, we just have to construct it and manage it well and make sure that all interest is cared for. Yeah?
Yeah, and I totally agree, because if the discussion in this dispensation is one of productivity, then the question is, how do we get them to be most productive? Rather than paying them for their insecurity and keeping them least productive. Yeah, but I have driven, you know, on the roads, and I see some of their work. They work good.
Yes,
when they work, they work. They do a work.
I love going to Tobago for that, you know. I watch Tobago. I watch when you go down Lady Young Road.
Yes.
And so forth. Yeah, some areas that you look at and you say, wow, boy.
And the conditions could be very harsh, you know. Yes. You know how the driving public is with people on the road. Come out the road. You want a bounce here. Good. And the hours. The hours. They out very early. You understand?
So they just need the new administration to get the cricket terms.
The new team.
In terms, female empire, let's talk terms and conditions for these workers outside here. Let's talk something for them. Let's take care of them. What do you think we should put in place? We should recommend to the batsmen and the...
Yeah, you really need to first start by looking at the needs, where those needs are, because we are talking about the differences, and some areas have this amount, some areas have that amount, and it makes it challenging for them. These are real people with real issues and challenges, and I don't think I see a problem with absorbing them, you know. There's no issue with that. You just need to give them some form of security. The question is, do you want to have a formalized contract with them? Noting that with contract employment you have to pay gratuity, or if you want to bring them in on a permanent basis. So they have to have that discussion. Look at the funding that's available as well, because it's a lot of people that you have to retain.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say. Give them, they need to get benefits. They have to get benefits. Don't even consider 3 months. Don't even consider that at all, because they are real people with real bills. So I'm saying, give them something that could allow them to live. Everybody don't have all the qualifications. Everybody don't have degrees and things like that. You have to cater for people on the lower strata who haven't reached to that level. However, you have to do it in such a way that we are not trying to create a situation of dependency where you do nothing and, you know, you just come out and you're able to form a ghost gang and get a little contract here. It doesn't happen like that.
The people at this lower strata, picking up from where the empire left off, are very volatile. When there are cuts to make, remember Mr. Snammer is doing the same thing. The welfare budget is going to go on, and they're saying, why are you cutting welfare? What happened to war? Why don't cut that budget? And they say, no, we need war and defense. Mr. Trump has said we need to invest more in the military. But you see the Medicaid, we need to give you a means test. We need to. So you see where they're thinking. Yes, they are very volatile. Very, very volatile. And they feel the brunt of adjustment. And Mr. Anisette is very correct in his sentiments that they pay the price for whatever we concoct. Whatever little plan we sit down and agree and shake hands, the people we employ with these very suspicious terms on none at all. Well, let's take the call.
Caller, welcome.
Well, let's take the call.
Welcome.
Yeah. Good afternoon, umpire. I know what side you umpiring for, man.
How you doing?
Square leg. He's square leg.
Like, you see, I call anything but square leg.
Yeah, he's square leg.
But all that, so we showing concern to poor people who lost in the, not the poor people who cleaning the road and cutting the grass and walking the grass, you know.
Yeah.
We remember the contractors and them.
Right.
We think about Kurkura when all that contract.
What contract, sir?
And a former talk show host on this program here. They haven't garden contract and thing in there, and they know I was going through my little pain. You know that Papi showing me on the radio station? So we had to come out and talk to poor people. For the last 9 years, we wasn't hearing them talk to poor people.
Right.
So I looked and I said, okay, back to work, man. Go on, boss.
Yes, thank you, caller. I don't know what he's referring to, but there are obviously allegations of people who are aligned to government directly, not indirectly.
Okay.
That they are beneficiaries. Again,
well, that could be scrutinized. There will be a contract. There will be something signed with somebody's name on it. So.
Again, I've heard that so much in life.
Yeah.
Is not that I want to ignore it.
Yeah.
I want to deal with the bigger issue.
Yeah.
And this is what our program is geared to do.
Fair play.
Yeah, let's deal with the big fish, you know, which is the productivity. What do we want from CPEP? Do we want them to support our rallies? To put them on a maxi? Because you know that it's crunch time and you know how you were hired and you know you have to give back.
Wow.
So we load you up and you're going to all sorts of rallies. That's what we want. And let me change the discussion. Is that all we good for? We ourselves, is that all we good for? All I could do is work from 6 to 10 and go home for a little something.
And get to go on a rally.
I ain't handicapped, I ain't feeble, I ain't disabled, I ain't challenged. But all I could do is work from 6 to something, get a little something and I'm gone. So I don't want more for myself. And the CPEP workers can contribute more. They can. In their own little way. They can. They could do a good work. You see them working when they're very well supervised and you see their work. And there's so many uncared spaces and
we need CPEP workers are needed by the society. Let's not call them CPEP workers. Workers who maintain the environment, who maintain the flora and fauna of the country, who clear the waterways and so forth. Critically needed in every society, not only Trinidad and Tobago, every society. We call them CPEP in Trinidad and so forth. You know, before they had the local government workers, corporation workers.
Because I often ask what are their liability issues. Because a man with a whacker and a net and you driving your car.
That's correct.
And you get your windscreen. Who pays damage? Who pays? Who manages them? Who manages them in the midst of high traffic?
That's correct.
You know, because you know how we feel about our vehicles. Who manages them in so they're really at the very lower end of the employment strata. So I applaud Mr. Aniset's call to review how they are treated. Let's take the call.
Caller, welcome. Hello? Missed the call there.
Missed the call? Yeah. So we really have to look at the bigger issues, how we deal with labor. Mr. Starmer in London, his 110 MPs are saying, you came in on a labor government, a labor ticket. Now you want to cut welfare? No. We are labor people too, but we say no. So to avoid the backlash of his own labor MPs, he had to reform the welfare bill and give concessions. And there were some physically challenged members of the House of Lords, and they were saying, you didn't even consult us. And the bill addresses us. And we were not even consulted as a group. So, really and truly, the social thinking about welfare and welfare government and labor in relation to welfare government and how because at the end of the day, it has to be sustainable.
Yes.
We know the
Yes.
economics of it.
Yes.
It has to be sustainable, but we should not set up people. We should not set up people. Let's take the call.
Caller, welcome. Welcome.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Pleasant good
To you
afternoon.
and your entire host and audience. I was off the program for a little over an hour, so I don't know if anybody made this statement. But during the last dispensation of the partnership administration, they changed a number of contractors in the forestry programs, but they never touched not one worker. The contractors were changed. And in some cases where one contractor had a few contracts, they sort of broke it up and brought in other contractors, but the workers were kept. That's all I could say, but I don't know if anybody made that point earlier on.
No. Good note. So the workers
Thank you
were
very
protected.
kindly.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
So then if we have an example of that happening in the past, then continue it now. You have to
Yeah.
deal with the process for the contractors.
The contractors.
That is different.
So I think, So I think it's the contractors that were terminated.
Yeah.
But force majeure, the workers end up being victim because,
because there's no contract
there's no
now.
contractor to
Yeah.
be aligned with.
Yeah.
And I know in quick order, but apart from quick order in terms of re-engaging new contractors under a more stringent and transparent method, I think this is what the government want to do. The batsmen want a more transparent, not a month before election we have 300 people renewed for 3 years. You know, we had a contract last year, we just suddenly renew last year contract. Is that done yet? They finished? Renewed for 3 years.
And that's the other thing. We keep hearing about what a government does the night before elections. And that is a peril we must stop. We heard it when the batting side, when they were bowling, there were a lot of allegations against them. The night, like they just get busy.
So could the
while you
parliament-
out on the road looking for votes and celebrating in your motorcade and awaiting the speech of the winning party.
So could the parliament, and this is what we're talking about, so we're going back to the pension thing. We seeing this lacuna, you know. This lacuna exists all the time, not now this lacuna exists.
Yeah.
So it happened with Prime Minister, and we say, oh, we'll do that, we want to change it. We are seeing this happening. We talk this election reform thing in terms of monies given to party and so forth. Election financing, party financing reform. We are doing nothing about it, but we're talking about it. And something will happen one day and suddenly we'll want to play big and bad. But hear what? So we know that. Can the parliament now sit down and say, here what's going on? No non-essential contract should be awarded within 3 months of a general election. What I'm saying, I'm just saying something here. But we can make provision for protection, you know.
Well, you see, now you see the political wisdom in having fixed dates of elections, which will avoid this. Because if you still don't know when election is going to be called or parliament is going to be prorogued, you end up in the same problem.
Look in
the both jurisdictions, it's fixed. You know that. There's no question about. So you can't do something
You see,
the night before.
You were saying earlier that them fellas and them batsmen, them smart, and the bowlers, them
telling
smart.
you that,
Stop.
I'm
After
telling you that.
1818, what happened with Tobago? The same 18. So we didn't learn from 1818, you know. You feel them really went inside it to mind the business of government and governance because you believe that. It's sometimes luck and chance because we end up in Tobago with the same 6-6. After 1818, nobody learned and say, could this happen elsewhere? Could it happen in local government? Could it happen in Tobago? We just fixed
remember I
Trinidad
told
and we
you,
went along to get along.
It's on the premise that they want to be fixed. They don't want to fix that.
And when things happen now, everybody paying doctor and lawyer when things happen now.
So the countdown is on. We're getting signals that we're going for drinks break in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So we're well poised to continue this discussion on the morrow. We have to follow what is happening or what happened today in the Senate.
Yes.
So we'll want to find out and we will discuss the whole idea of independent senator.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, does our political system really allow for an independent senator, and to what extent? And do they have lobby groups? For instance, Mr. Trump, there are 52 Republicans in the U.S. Senate. And he needs, I think they say that he needs 50 of them. One has already said he's not going to support this big, beautiful bill. So if one more senator, one more Republican senator comes out and said he's not supporting this bill, he's Republican, but he say not supporting this.
He stands on something.
Again, because he says when we cut welfare and Medicaid, two things can happen. I cannot go back and face the people in my state, and I am not offering myself for re-election.
And that's the kind of politics we want.
You understand?
Represent the people.
He say, I'm not offering myself for re-election if this happens, because I cannot in all good conscience support this bill, Republican or not. But that's a different place. That's on a different planet. We're on a different planet here. We're on a different planet here. Maybe the rules apply differently to us here, but definitely this whole idea about independent senators, we want to hear. We will pay attention to see how the ball swing today. Tomorrow is the vote. Good. And we'll want to hear what were the arguments.
That's what I want to hear.
We want to hear the thoughts. You know, for them on whichever side they belong. And certainly they have a role to play, but are they creatures and monsters of a system in which they are stymied? I'm
they
not
creatures
too sure.
of groupthink?
Well, correct. Correct. We'll have
Lady
to ask
Umpire.
a hard question. Lady Umpire.
Yeah. So
Take us home.
fantastic session this evening, and I really do hope that we take into consideration all of these things that we discussed. We wait to hear a little bit more on what comes out of these issues. Thank you for having me.
People in the pavilion, our listening audience, internationally, locally, we look forward to joining you all tomorrow. Have a good one.
You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
You want to find something great to do with your Tuesday nights? You want to learn and understand the true reason for Jesus? Then join us every Tuesday night from 8 to 9 p.m. for the program